Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing well tonight. It's definitely going to be a little bit less of the chaotic and loud Sasha tonight. It's going to be a little bit more of the slightly closer to the mic, slightly lower energy, slightly shorter, but generally a little bit more, I guess the word would be charitably comfy tonight. It's been a bit of a long day. I mean, I only really had about a 4-hour shift, but I did walk to and from work in 19-degree weather. Which is what it is. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, because after that I got some Taco Bell with Nyx, and... Hold on a second. The title track of this album isn't supposed to be in this playlist. That's not quite right. Give me a moment. I try not to let the title track of that song, of that album play. Just generally because it's, generally because I don't really think the Sling Blade sample is a thing a lot of people want to get jump scared with. 19 degrees Fahrenheit. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty interesting day. I do admit, I'm finding that Taco Bell Baja Blast does not supply me with sufficient caffeine to avoid a headache. Without wishing to cancel another stream, I decided I was just going to pop some Advil and see if I couldn't brave it tonight. But I don't know what a Fahrenheit is in real temperature measurements. Yeah, no, it's so I have a little bit of a headache. Oh shit. Fuck. Thank you, Raz. Wow. Thank you, Raz, so much. I really appreciate that. Enjoy that nice, shiny radiation logo. I don't know why the sound didn't come through, by the way. That's curious. Give me a second here. Oh, is there just not a mixed up sound source in here? Give me a second. Strange. I'll figure that out in a second. Anyway. Yeah, Soroka, shiny radiation logo. Well, unfortunately for it to glow, it would have to be a 12-month sub. So you're well on your way. But, yeah, without wishing to keep getting distracted, I've had a slightly long day. It's, been weird, and I have a little bit of a headache, so I popped some Advil, and I'm hoping some water will help soothe it. Otherwise, I am going to be spending tonight with Amber, present with me. She's sitting alongside me on the couch, actually. I asked her while washing dishes earlier today if she would like to, sit down with me during tonight's stream, and she was excited for that. And then she joined me here at the helm just in time to get the full blast of a migraine. So she's not in terribly good spirits. It's okay. I'm going to be going PNG tonight just because I'm feeling fairly tired and my phone wasn't charged all the way. And also I think it might be best to do that while I'm streaming Stalker 2, just because even with my phone face tracking, Stalker 2 is quite a hungry gal. So we'll see how it goes. Mambo time? Absolutely. So before I get us back into it, Tiana, congrats on the compass. Excited to stream The Suffering with you on this Sunday. Soroka as well, it is wonderful to see you tonight, homie. How are you doing tonight? Hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe out there. I do have a fun little thing to talk about later, but first, if we have anybody in my chat who is not already following Soroka, please go give her your follow and your love. She's a fantastic friend of our community. We're very happy to have her. I love her character, I love what she does, and she's really swell to hang out with and talk about stuff with, so do me a favor, drop her a follow. Her streams are very fun to watch, and she is also a fantastic voice. So do that. That is true, we are going to prison. We are going to, I believe it's Abbott State Penitentiary, I think it's called. I just know because there's the one guy who says, "Death is our stock and trade here at Abbott, the final solution," and one of the few who will admit that. First it giveth, then it taketh away. Also, once again, Dark Web Lesbian Raz, it is very good to see you in here tonight. I think you've been following for a while, but I don't think I've seen you in stream chat for a while, so it's good to see you again. Senko and Ziggy as well, wonderful to see you both. I hope you're doing okay today. Love you guys. So, yeah, I'm gonna bring us on down to the bar, we're gonna get the shit cracking, and it's gonna be a fairly chill night tonight. I admit that a lot of my streams have been continuously fairly chaotic and exciting, but I do want my Stalker Tuesdays to be fairly relaxed. Chaos and havoc can come on, you know, Thursdays and Sundays. Used to be a big Twitch monster a few years ago, but I don't use the site much anymore. That's fair. I haven't really had a whole lot of time, because I used to be able to, like, tune into friends' streams and play games and talk to other people. I'm not terribly sure what happened, but somewhere down along the line, my attention has gotten so scattered that I now basically can't even write unless I'm listening to music with no lyrics or vocals whatsoever, otherwise my brain becomes too cloudy. These things happen. These things happen. So, without further ado, give me just a moment to take my estrogen and we'll be all ready to go. Thank God I've got my appointment tomorrow. I can get this refilled. Probably going to see about upping my progesterone dose, I think. For reasons that I think would benefit most people who are close to me. With that reason mainly being, me being slightly better headspaces, I think. 200 milligrams is when things get fun. So I've heard from Nyx. That's where she's at. Bit drained, one of my 40k models being a little shit and frustrated the hell out of me. Well, don't worry. You can come on down here tonight. We're gonna keep it nice and chill. Alright. Here we go. Hey everybody. It's good to see you tonight. I actually forgot to plug my MIDI keyboard back in, so I don't have my usual volume sliders for tonight, but that's okay. Welcome on in. I am PNG Sascha. Welcome to the throwback. I am too much Sascha, the Chernobyl battle maid. I cook, I clean, I kill, and when I'm not doing any of those things, I play spooky shooty games here on Twitch. And unfortunately, I'm under the thumb of a certain United Nations board member. We don't like to talk about that. It is what it is. I mean, it would be my luck that I would somehow end up pissing off the singular section of the UN that is dedicated to researching the zone. I would somehow still manage to get them pissed at me. It's like somehow crashing into the solitary tree in the middle of a freeway. In a way. But that being said, welcome on in, everybody. Oh, I still gotta get used to this again. But welcome on in, everybody. Tiana, I mean in my lore. I mean in my lore. But it's good to see all of you. Of course Tommy Wright is playing. I hope you're all doing nice and being good to yourselves tonight, and I admit my head is a little bit cloudy tonight. So I'm just gonna, you know, kinda gonna keep it a little bit low-key. That's fair. I'm just gonna keep it low-key, we're just gonna play some Stalker, and I'm gonna chill tonight. I honestly love your PNG, it's nice to see it on occasion. I really like it too. I was thinking a lot today about how even, like, these days, you know, generally speaking, like, I love every single asset I get for streams, every little piece of fan art, everything, but I don't know how to put it. Every single time I look at any type of asset or anything, I always kind of, like, look at Deathmaid's PNG for me and just say, God, he's that fucking guy. Like that motherfucker was him when he did this. It really is that good. Let me zoom out so we can show it off to anybody who hasn't seen it. It's a really nice PNG. I love Deathmaid's art style. I love what he does. And obviously the Ferris Wheel Commission is probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever paid for. Cannot take this song seriously anymore. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever been able to take it seriously. It's Tommy Ride a Creep at Night, you know? It's a really funny song, and I don't even remember why I put it on here, but I just did. There's like a lot of really good songs off of the Runnin' and Gunnin' mixtape. I actually really like Four Corners with Princess Loco. Rest in peace, Princess Loco, by the way. Gotta show your love to Memphis. But yeah, I really like this PNG, and I love Deathmade's work, and the work he did on that Ferris wheel commission still absolutely blows me away. I don't think he's ever done any work for me that I haven't loved with every ounce of my being. I am actually currently looking into putting some money down for some newer assets. I do want to see about getting myself a new PNG. Not because there's anything wrong with this one, but simply because, you know, I would like one that is up to date with my current model's design. So ditching the, you know, USS Deserters patch, and flipping around a little bit so I just have that little nice Mole rig over the full-on tactical vest and insert. Physicist, it is good to see you. I know that you're a regular for Soroka and Ocean, if my memory is correct. Let me give you a good little shout out here, because any friend of those two is a good friend of ours. How are you doing tonight, Physicist? It's good to see you. Angel! Ooh, bestie, help. That's a little bit, what's going on, IBSD? How are you doing, homie? What's up? What's happening? Which won't let me use my new bank account to give subs so you're safe from the 20... Jesus, Amanda, make sure you can take care of your, like, you got, like, bills and shit to take care of. Worry about that first, alright, homie? I'd prefer if you were able to... I'd prefer if you did that first. Suffering from home improvement. Yeah, y'all have been on the grind for a really long time now, but I'm hoping y'all are gonna be close to it. Totes Unforchies IBSDs. So real, so real. Yeah, y'all have been on the grind with the home improvement for a while, and I'm really hoping that'll get easier and be out of the way soon. Good friend. Love y'all. Sanguine Estelle, it's wonderful to see you as well. I hope you, I was hoping it made you smile when I used the fucking Sascha Dracula flow piece for the schedule this week. So y'all will notice something different as well before we get to the game proper tonight. Which is, I actually switched up my ad system. For starters, I am no longer using the, like, pre-roll and manual ad system, because I realized that unless I was running 3-minute ad breaks every hour and no less frequent, so it had to be at least every 60 minutes or maybe even less. But if I didn't run 3-minute ad breaks at longest every 60 minutes, it would hit people with pre-roll ads every single time they did it. So raiders were getting hit with pre-roll ads. People who were having Twitch issues and had to reset their browser were getting pre-roll ads. Obviously, we have like people in here who like to gift a lot of gift subs. So a lot of people, like, I've always had the system of subscribers don't get ads. So if you don't want ads, feel free to join us. I do appreciate all of our wonderful supporters who, you know, subscribe, gift subs, and help everybody, you know, kind of, you know, have a slightly less advertiser-friendly experience, and we actually get to kind of be ourselves a fair bit. So I appreciate all of our good subscribers and supporters, but unfortunately, a lot of people, especially people who come in from raids, tend to not be subscribers, which means anybody coming in from a raid or having connectivity issues is going to be hit with pre-roll ads. A lot. Which is not fun, and I do not want to do that to people. So we are back on the scheduled ad system for the first time in, I want to say, like a good 3 years. I am still going to be manually running the ads myself whenever I need to, just because, like, then, you know, it'll kind of stave things off a little bit longer. I do need to talk to Angel how to get that little system where it warns everybody. The ad system on... Yeah, I really do wish I could just have it be completely manual and only run it when I want to, and then not have Twitch try to insert it themselves. But, Twitch wants really, really hard to try and at least make a little bit of something off the corpse of this website, because they have to make up that Amazon money. So unfortunately, we do have to deal with that. Estelle says won't be in the chat much because I'm going to be on my way to drive to work, but it's an hour and a half drive, so I think I'm going to listen in. Wonderful, wonderful. Just make sure to keep your eyes on the road, good homie. Silent Hill 2 music just activated every bone in my body. We recently got really back into Silent Hill 2 for plural reasons. Cinco, I think one of the first streams I remember you being really active in the chat for was my Silent Hill 2 stream. The second one especially, I remember having you in the chat there, and I think you actually are one of the only people here tonight, or even just period, who is witness to, I think, the only time I have ever actually truly cried on stream, which was the Silent Hill 2 finale stream, because Mary's letter absolutely demolished me. And as soon as she whispered, "James, you made me happy," I had to mute my mic, type in the chat, give me a moment, and I just sobbed for like a good 5 minutes. The Silent Hill 2 streams were really fun. I kind of look at the Silent Hill 2 streams that I did as like my gold standard for how I handle horror content with particularly heavy subject matter. I think it probably would have been better if I'd done it for Lost in Vivo, but to be honest, Lost in Vivo was so terrifying I couldn't play it on my own. Yeah, I feel that, Tiana, I feel that. Here's hoping a day will come to pass where it no longer hits like that. Yeah, the way that she says "you made me happy" completely killed me. Like, I'd held strong for most of the stream. I feel very proud with how I handled that stream, because much of it was like me being like, okay, you know, Ori, thank you. Thank you for the sub, Ori. I really appreciate that. Great City Hate Crew for life. But yeah, I was proud of how I ran that stream with the whole system of like, okay, tonight's stream is going to be a very like, there's going to be a lot of very like heavy and tough to dance around subject matter, from like, you know, sexual trauma to animal abuse and Lord knows what else. And it was like, I don't want to see anybody making jokes at the expense of any character in this game. I was like, these characters may not be real, but their experiences that hurt them are real, and I will not allow anybody in my chat who shares those experiences to feel unsafe. I will not allow it. And I felt good about how I did that. And I was very proud of the way I managed the stream with a very respectful thing, where sometimes we still got to be a little bit silly. But a lot of the focus was on a sort of reverence. I like to offer a degree of reverence when I'm doing any type of art that I feel a great deal of respect for, especially art with very heavy subject matter or really, really well done horror atmosphere. Silent Hill 2 is all of those. I still think that nowadays I kind of prefer Silent Hill 3 to play, just because I really like 3's DJ Shadow-esque soundtrack. I love its storyline. I really like Heather. I also like Vincent and Douglas. It has an all-star cast. But it's also because Silent Hill 2 is a game that the more time has passed since I first played it and since it came out, the more difficult it kind of is to stomach. Partially because estrogen makes you more emotional, and also because Silent Hill 2 is a game that I really wish I didn't have that much emotional resonance to, but my god, I do. That game rips my fucking heart out and curb stomps it in front of me and then shoves it back into my chest every single time. I don't think I'm ever really going to stream the remake unless I play it myself off stream and find it to be really, really, really good. Time will tell. Time will tell. So, I'm going to stop stalling us for too much longer. I'm going to have to hard cut us at midnight again, since tomorrow I would be doing a 12 to, I think, 6 work shift. But I actually have a 2:40 appointment with my hormone doctor to refill my prescriptions and see about boosting my progesterone to 200. So, unfortunately, if I want to actually get my meds refilled and do that, I did have to switch shifts with somebody, so I'm taking a 9 to 2 tomorrow. 1 hour less, and thankfully, I'm just gonna, you know, like, conk out as soon as I turn off stream, and then just power through it and then go home. It's a lot of progesterone. I mean, I'm already on, like, 100 right now. 200 seems to be kind of like the one a lot of people are taking. And it also means that if I should end up having another instance where I, say, forget to refill my medication and don't have it for a week and proceed to be in a state of rampant mania and migraines and overstimulation for an entire week, where a whole week feels like I'm basically living in a soap opera effect. Like, you know, like you ever like have like the soap opera effect where your TV interpolates video to 60 FPS? Imagine if your mind and every minute of every day was like that, because that's what forgetting your progesterone dosage is. So in the event that that happens again, I can just take Nyx's dose or cop one of hers for a bit. I've actually been kind of mooching off some of her estrogen while I, you know, wait for my appointment to come up, which I greatly am appreciative of, because missing any of my dosages of medication are not terribly fun. They made Maria less sexualized. What an interesting thing. But in the case of Silent Hill 2, it is actually a pretty fair, it's actually a surprisingly fair, like, complaint to have, I would argue, because the whole point of Maria is she's basically supposed to be an appeal to James's libido. Like, hey, dude, your wife's dead. Don't you want to fuck again? Like the whole point of her is she's supposed to be like that. Yeah, well, people were also saying about the RE4 remake. It is what, oh man, Ashley Graham doesn't have ballistics anymore. Yeah, like, she is still pretty. Like, it's like, it is what it is, you know? I do want to play it. It's the Silent Hill 2 remake, I imagine, is going to have the same effect that I have when I play a lot of Castlevanias. Or, what's the word? A lot of, sounds good, Raz. Get yourself some rest, homie. We'll still be going for quite a while. God, I'm losing my fucking train of thought here. How do I put this? Yeah, they did take away her big fucking ears. Very disappointing. Yeah, like, the way I feel about the Silent Hill 2 remake is I imagine it's going to be how I feel about a lot of, like, Metroidvanias, which is, I'm sure it's a great game. I'm sure it's well made, and I enjoy when I play it. But the issue is every time I pick them up, I just go, man, I should go play Symphony of the Night again. So then I just go play Symphony of the Night again, and I don't go back to any other Metroidvanias, because I can just play Symphony of the Night, and I like Symphony of the Night a lot. So it's like, with the Silent Hill 2 remake, like, to my knowledge, the only game that hasn't done that for me is the RE4 remake. It doesn't just make me want to play the RE4, like, original. I like playing them both in tandem, because they're both unique enough experiences that both feel like fantastic kind of, like, sides of a thing. But every single time I play, like, a Metroidvania, I just go, man, this is good. I'm gonna go play Symphony of the Night again. Blasphemous, I'm gonna go play Symphony of the Night. Bloodstained Ritual, I'm gonna go play Symphony. Hollow Knight, damn, this is good. This reminded me of Symphony. I'm gonna go play Symphony. Like, just every single time, no matter what. The game could be great. I have not played a Metroidvania I didn't love, but I also haven't played a Metroidvania that didn't just kind of remind me enough of Symphony of the Night that I wanted to go like, damn, I'm gonna go have Symphony of the Night. I'm gonna go have some Symphony of the Night again. Like, I've lost count of how many times I've picked up and played that game, because Symphony of the Night really is that fucking good. Well, except for the whole inverted castle, but we don't talk about that terribly much. Amy said I was off my progesterone for like a week and a half because of pharmacy bullshit, and I felt like I was losing my... Yeah, that was how I was for like the week at the very start of this year that I was off my prog. If you want to see what it looks like when a person is experiencing prog withdrawal and not like super aware of it, go watch my Captain Wayne VOD, which I consistently describe these days as I felt the same way I did after 3 shots of scotch and half of a Moscow Mule. Like, I actually felt significantly like cognitively impaired because of how much like the brain fog of progesterone and like the overstimulation causing migraines made it impossible to think about anything. It was kind of hell. Like, I've talked about it enough times, but when fucking Emot was trying to message me and I was like, I'm sorry, dog, I can't talk right now. Joplin 2011 EF5 in my brain. Talk later. Which is unfortunate. Yeah, it is what it is. I think, Cinco said, I think the biggest complaints I've heard are some dialogue changes don't hit quite the same. Terrified about updates from the remake back before it came out. From what I've heard, it's actually fantastic and very faithful. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I find it very likely that playing it is just going to make me want to go play the original. Like, that's kind of my general thesis, is that I don't think Silent Hill 2 is a game that needed to be remade. A lot of these games people remake are just games like, if you just manage to re-release and repackage the original for modern hardware and let people play it without having to go through retro game scalpers, I imagine it would probably, like, outsell the remakes. In a lot of cases. I'm sure the Silent Hill 2 remake is fine, but I don't think it's going to outclass the original, because the original basically doesn't need a remake. The voice acting is fantastic, the gameplay is great, the storyline is incredible, the music is outstanding, the sound design is good, I love everything about it. It looked stellar for a game on its console. Like, for a launch PS2 title, it actually outclasses some, like, late stage PS2 titles, legitimately. It's that good. And I don't really think it needed to be remade. I think Konami just wanted money, and I'm going to be honest, I will probably torrent it before I decide if I want to give them money for it. I don't know if I want to give them money for just kind of trying to... Okay, I have a little bit of a crackhead theory here. My crackhead theory is that the huge jump in retro game, like, hoarders and price, like, hogging and everything is partially because companies who host these IPs want people to play their remakes more or vie for their remakes more, so they just buy up all of the, like, classic titles that they have, and then just, like, it's like, oh, look at this, you have to pay this much money to play the original if you want to actually play it at all. Ooh, you should probably play the remake that's only going to cost you $70 instead of $200. I don't know, crackhead theory, but a theory. You don't need a remake, you're just too weak to grasp. Like, Silent Hill 2's combat system is actually surprisingly, like there's like a sidestep button, there's a quick turn. Like Silent Hill 2 is not that clunky compared to some, like, titles. Like you want to see clunky, you haven't played Martian Gothic Unification. Dude, I should play Martian Gothic. That's a good fucking game. This is why I emulate. Yeah, I mean, I am blessed enough that I happen to own the, like, first 4 Silent Hill titles on original hardware, and I play them on original hardware, which is why when I do stream Silent Hill 3, it will be on original hardware. Silent Hill 2, I actually prefer the PC release, with the Enhanced Edition mod. I genuinely think, I've never played Silent Hill or Resident Evil. Okay, I'll tell you right now, Silent Hill 1, if you don't have a physical copy, emulate it. Silent Hill 2, download the original PC release on myabandonware.com and utilize the Enhanced Edition mod that fixes bugs, actually kind of, like, makes it slightly, like, in my opinion, makes it outclass the original. Silent Hill 3, don't have it on original hardware, emulate it. Silent Hill 4, don't have it on original hardware, emulate it. Resident Evil 1, play the Resident Evil... Is that Skinny Pete? Resident Evil 1, play the remake. It is actually the RE1 remake originally on GameCube as a remaster on Steam. Play it, it's great, it's peak. Resident Evil 2, Cinco says original is best experience emulated on GameCube. I would say to listen to it. Resident Evil 3, can't really rightly tell you. Resident Evil 4, I mean, Resident Evil 4 has been re-released on everything under the sun, even before its remakes. At this point, I think the only games that, like, have topped it for being re-released all the time are, like, at this point, you know, GTA 5 and Skyrim. Good to see you, by the way, Missy. For RE4, I would actually, like, you can basically, like, it's on Steam, like, just play the original RE4. It's that good. Play it with a controller, though. Play it with a controller. Resident Evil 5, don't. Resident Evil 6, don't. Resident Evil 7, PC. Resident Evil 8, Village, PC. Resident Evil 9, not out yet. Disregard, yeah, don't play the remake of RE1 is close enough to just basically just being like a visual update with some really cool new gameplay mechanics for RE1 that I would actually kind of advise playing it over the original. But the other remakes in the series like 2, 3, and 4 are so far afterwards that they are substantially different. I'm sure the RE3 remake is good, but I would, if somebody is looking to play the originals, I would advise them to play the original RE3 because, in my opinion, Nemesis in the RE3 remake is a little underwhelming. He is. If you must play RE5, do a co-op. I cannot think of a single scenario under the sun where a person is ever required to play RE5. And if they are, I think they aren't thinking of enough reasons they don't need to play it. They're charging $20 to $30 for RE titles. RE5 co-op is actually okay, but you know what else is okay in co-op? Picking up trash for community service after an inebriated driving ticket. Make it out what you will. They did nerf Nemesis. When are we getting a CV remake? Oh, right, I forgot about CV. You should also play Code Veronica. It's the real Resident Evil 3. Experience Ashford Mansion. See, the lack of applause is due to the overabundance of incest. Anyway, great time to go to the game. Great time to go to the game. Oh, right. I muted all of the in-game audio. I do that when I'm streaming. That way I don't hear anything. Jesus Christ, thank fuck my kitchen is finally clean. So, if memory serves correctly, CV is so camp and I'm here for it. CV is gas. CV is gas. If we have anybody in here who has a problem with Resident Evil Code Veronica, have you played it? So if memory serves, the last thing I was doing was I was actually here in this facility because I was struggling to find a way in and kind of just gave up because I accepted that maybe it was like a story-related reason I couldn't get in, because there's a door with a button down over there and the button does nothing. There's also a key required, and after scavenging and searching this place top to bottom multiple times, I have found no trace of a key. There's a train that has a stash icon on it over here, but if there is a stash actually in it and not just some assorted items, it is not terribly clear where it could be. Because this icon usually means it's going to be like, you know, like an actual, like, full-on stash, and I'm not seeing it anywhere. Why should it be under the train? If it's under the train, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I've noticed a consistent thing with the Malachite area, and it seems to be that they really, really go hard on environmental puzzles, and a lot of these areas are areas that you are supposed to come here for in, like, the actual storyline, but a lot of them are still technically quest-related, and going to them, like the VPC mirror, for example, I don't know what's supposed to go on there. All I know is that right now there's just a lot of chimeras every time I go there. So I'm not really terribly interested in continuing to make that place one of my frequent stops, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if y'all have noticed it, but whenever I go back to, like, being, like, my PNG, like, that weird sort of, like, the proper Gloomtuber Sascha returns every time I go PNG. I don't know if it's because, like, me using a PNG tends to coincide with me being a little bit too tired to be fully animated, if you know what I mean. Like, I can't put, like, my face, I can't, you know, like, really, like, do up my face and like, you know, play up the, like, facial expressions or anything, because I don't need to, because I'm in PNG form, so I just don't. And that lends itself to me kind of, like, allowing myself to sort of slink back down into that sort of little space here. The subconscious awareness that your expression is being watched. No masking. Absolutely, yeah. Like you could simply put it as that, is whenever I'm actually in like full live 2D format, I tend to kind of like be I've talked before about how being in full live 2D is makes me sometimes, if I'm not in a terribly good headspace, it can actually make me rather scopophobic. Um I talked about how every time I had like a major VTuber debut, I would start to feel like a very noticeable kind of like scopophobia. Like the first time I ever had like my like, you know, PNG model up, it's weird. It's almost like fucking like postpartum depression for a VTuber, because like every single time you have a new one, it's like, oh fuck, you know? So like when I first had my Live 2D debut, I was ecstatic. And then a week or two later, suddenly I couldn't stand the thought of people looking at me. Every single moment, the idea of people tuning into my stream and watching me made me feel impossibly overwhelmed. And then it happened the same thing with Live 2D, to an even more intense degree, because I realized while with the PNG, people only see the difference between me talking and not talking, and that was about it. With Live 2D, it's so much more visceral, because people can see when I'm talking, people can see where my eyes are going, people can see where my head is turned. Every single little, like, minutia of how I am as a person is on full display. And the first good month of me doing that was, like, kind of impossible for me to, like, manage at first. It was like, what do you mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, it really is like standing up on a stage, but like instead it's like a one-way mirror where they can see through the mirror at you, but you can't see through the mirror at them. And whenever I'm not in a terribly good headspace, and for, you know, reference, if I'm not in a terribly good headspace, I tend to be fairly scopophobic. I don't like being looked at. Like, don't get me wrong, if I'm in PNG, I can still be very animated if I'm in a good mood. Like, a lot of times I do go PNG just out of hardware necessity, because again, even with the iPhone face tracking, certain games can still be very, very hungry. Looking at you here, Stalker 2. But, regardless, otherwise, generally speaking, one of the main reasons you'll see me go PNG is just because I don't really want to be seen. And that doesn't, you know, mean you have to check up on me or be like, oh god, you know, Sascha, are you okay? Oh, let's, like, you know, I'm always gonna appreciate a hug. But, generally speaking, you'll kind of, like, find a commonality of whenever I'm in, like, PNG. It's just because I tend to be a little bit more tired, and I realize that I don't have to play up the character, and because of that, I can just kind of slink down a little bit, slouch, and to be honest, I think Amber probably appreciates this a little bit more tonight, is that I'm just kind of being nice and cozy, and she certainly likes it when I'm laid back and everything, so... Like, I tend to be fairly scopophobic when I'm not feeling good. You know, I don't like being looked at. I've talked a lot about that one AMV I made in, like, late 2024, where I was basically listening to the song Gone Forever by High Viz, basically every waking moment of every day for an entire 10 days. And when I say that I felt awful, I mean it. I would go to work and I would try every possible method to, like, clock into work by going in through, like, back entrances or hallways where I could guarantee that people would not see me and attempt to talk to me, or make any other means of, like, making making it clear that my presence was something they were perceiving. I'm not a person who's terribly scopophobic all the time. It just has to be in a very specific headspace where I feel very self-conscious, I feel not good, and it just doesn't feel nice. And whenever I tend to be in that state, I do tend to go PNG just because, you know, I don't have to worry about seeing, like, a one-to-one recreation of every facial expression and every little minutia of my, you know, my face and my body language kind of be recreated on stream. It's not like, oh, you know, I don't like how I look, or I hate myself or anything like that. It's more just like, you know, I like how I am. But sometimes, you know, think of it this way. Think of it this way, right? let's say it's like a beautiful, beautiful little like hair ribbon or necklace or pendant or something. Sometimes you just kind of want to keep it to yourself a little bit. You love how it looks. You think it's beautiful. You're proud of it, and the person who gave it to you, you're impossibly grateful to them. But some days you just kind of want to lock it up. You don't want a person to see it. You just kind of want to keep it to yourself and say, today you exist only to me. Today, only I get to partake in all that is you. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to be a little bit selfish about a thing that you care about. If it's an aspect of yourself, sometimes, maybe. Does that make me sound egotistical? Does it make me sound egotistical to say that, to compare, like, my body language and my likeness and my you know, the perception of my presence to a gem that I would covet and keep hidden from other eyes? I'm not sure. I think it's good to have some degree of confidence and to view yourself as that, you know? You know, you have to be a diamond. You have to be a light to yourself, or convince yourself that you are a masterpiece. Not egotistical. Self-preservation doesn't even feel like it, because it's not like I expect somebody to tarnish this gem of mine by perceiving it or by looking at it, you know? I don't... It's not that I expect that. It's just that, you know? Sometimes it just... Sometimes it's even just like, oh, you know, I feel like you've gotten a good look at it today. I can put it away, you know? I don't have to feel like I'm parading it around too much. Yeah. A lot of people put this weird sort of, like, negative weight onto the concept of self-love, and they really need to stop doing that. What to do, what to do, what to do. So that's kind of where my soul stands at present, is today, for both system hardware preservation, and for the sake of, you know, I'm a little bit more tired and not feeling terribly super energetic, partially because I have a migraine, and I, you know, had to walk to and from work in 19-degree Fahrenheit weather. I'm a little bit less animated today, and since I'm less animated, and this little pendant or gemstone or gift that I consider certain aspects of myself to be, I would like to keep them sacred, and I would like to lock them away in a little chest and say, I'm really happy you enjoy this, and I enjoyed this too, but for today, may it exist only for me, just for today. So when self-love turns into a hatred of others, it's a problem. Good to see you today, Lav. We got a shout-out. Do we have any mods who can shout out Lav, please? That being Plalt here in chat with Stock to his day. How are you doing today, Lav? I saw you and Dwap and Rhodey and Amanda up in the chat, and it was very nice to see you all, and I'm sorry I couldn't be by. I was having my dinner and relaxing after work. Shout out to Lav. Lav is a really, really fun person. It has been absolutely wonderful getting to hang out and chat whenever I get to see Lav and VC and talk about our creative processes. Lav is actually going to be managing our Pripyat City Hate Crew VR chat hangouts when those get off of the ground. She's got a fantastically creative mind. She's always cooking up really, really beautiful and interesting things that I love getting to hear about. And sometimes I unfortunately happen to be in a day where I, you know, don't really have a lot to add. But even when I don't have anything to add, I never want to stop her from talking, because it's really wonderful to hear all that she just kind of cooks up in that head of hers. She's wonderful. Appreciate the fuck out of her. And I hope she keeps doing what she does, because people like her are needed more than ever today. Got to make food for yourself? Doing alright? 84K, my brain does a lot. Angel Vice says, cutting board oiled, kitchen clean, new appliances in, feel spoiled. Fantastic. Nice rhyme, by the way. Sounds good. Yeah, I kind of treated myself a bit too, because I actually purchased a dish rack. We haven't had a dish rack. We actually just have like 2 dish towels that we lay down on the countertop and then just manually dry the dishes off first before placing them atop it whenever we're washing dishes. Instead, we actually got ourselves a proper dish rack that drains into the sink, and I'm sitting here like, man, dishes felt fucking impossible to do until now. So, feels good. Feels good. I don't know how I just didn't get it until now. You guys are bleeding me fucking dry on these expenses. It's funny the things you appreciate when you get older. Yeah, just sometimes just like, you know, I didn't think this was gonna be a thing that meant that much to me, but huh, it is. Might get some DoorDash, someone owes me, today's a lazy day. That is fair, that is fair. Well, you know, we're all a little bit lazy today. So, what I think I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be heading down to go talk to Scar, because I have a mission to get done in, a certain area. I have some unfinished business, and, I would like to get to it, so... Lazy Tuesdays, as always. It's always lazy, these Stalker Tuesdays, you know. Stella Friend, good to see you tonight. How are you doing tonight? Hope all is well. It's a relatively lower energy Stalker Tuesday. Sometimes I do kind of, slip up a little bit. Sometimes I do slip up a little bit on the Gloomtuber thing and kind of end up being a little bit more chaotic than I think what I do really feels like it demands. So I like to I try to dial that back sometimes. I said Amber was sitting beside me tonight, and she definitely is, but I also feel 80 is certainly standing behind me. I've been literally vibrating since you started playing this to discuss the implications and the ending of the lore with you. I'm excited for that sometime. It is definitely going to be a while because I take my sweet time with Stalker. I've had to talk myself out of multiple times just completely restarting my run just to keep going at it again and again and again so I can like perfectly get it. What is Gloom without a little light? Oh, absolutely. I mean, you get the light on the Thursdays and Sundays, yeah, but, you know, generally speaking, I do try to keep a slightly more dour tone on Stalker Tuesdays, and I think I've been getting a little bit too chaotic. And granted, there are a lot of times where I still tend to be, you know, fairly, you know, in the brain and talking about all sorts of things from emotional topics to more speculative and sometimes like philosophical topics on these, like I did the last couple of weeks. But I do admit also whenever I have my VTuber model up, I tend to be a little bit more animated and thusly a little bit louder, and thusly discussions tend to be kind of a lot more frenetic and all over the place. And just sitting down and kind of letting the rust settle in my bones helps my focus a fair bit. Ah, that's armor piercing. Doing good, spent all day watching an anime with a friend. Oh, what were you watching? And if I ask, I'm very interested. Alright. Let's go talk to Scar. I really don't feel like... Do I have any stashes? That is so many locales. There's a few stashes in Duga I'm not terribly interested in going to. Already, why did I mark up the mist? Oh, you know what? I forgot to demark it. We've got some stashes in the chemical plant area. Prince? I've heard very good things about Princess Jellyfish, actually. My good friend Rocco was trying to put me onto it for a good while. How is it? How are you liking it? Tell me all about it, please, please, I beg it. Alright, well, let's cross this bridge into the chemical plant zone and grab myself some things before heading on back to Rostock. How about that? We'll keep it nice and steady. This time, actually, without wishing to visit pain on myself, I'm actually going to bring a weapon that gives me a decent amount of long-range and close-range benefit. So, what I think I'm going to go for is... Where are you, my darling? I think one of these is my... Is it you, my darling? Aha! No. It's not you? Do I not? Okay. One of my 870s has a slug ammunition conversion, which I am preferring to use. It's good. Binge the whole show. Wonderful to hear it. I've heard it's got solid queer representation, which, you know, is kind of a, it's kind of a prerequisite for me at this point. If your show is not good to the queers, I'm probably not going to watch it. I love, by the way, that I can just put this atrocious fucking ACOG scope onto this. By the way, we're getting an ad break in about 4 minutes. Magazine pump-fed shotgun seems like one of those things that would be really useful, but I don't see them used or mentioned often. Yeah, the magazine-fed I tend to just keep with regular buckshot or expansive darts as a mutant killer, but of course now I just keep the sledgehammer for that purpose anyway, so there's not really much of a need to do so. So my longer range, you know, like slug-fed only, I tend to keep with, specifically a, regular, you know, like, tube-fed. It just feels like I'm just being economic about it, you know? And of course, we've still got the laser on it because I'm going to be using this at night, you know, I need to be safeguarding myself. So, we've got a decent amount. Oh, right, there were a couple of items I was going to give back to Victoria. We've got a decent amount of inventory space, so I'm going to basically grab as many stash items as I can and bring them back with me to Rostock and see if I can't find something nice to sell off, make a little bit of chump change. The issue of 12 gauge is rimmed. Rim doesn't play well with magazines. Harry Gain is a transish character. Even after watching it, I don't know where to, Oh, thank you for the payment, my lady. Barry Gainvere is a transition character. Even after watching it, I don't know where to place this character, but personally, they're on the more positive side. Still not the best trans femme, but what anime does have a good trans femme. Yeah, I'm sure. It's really unfortunate, too, because, like, I think Steins Gate's trans femme comes close to being a character who, in a vacuum, is a pretty decent, you know, at first, is a fairly decent representation of a trans femme. Until there's that whole situation where it's like, oh, well, if I could choose between a universe where I'm in love with you and a universe where I'm a girl, I'll choose the universe where I'm in love with you, even if it means I'm a boy, which is like, I'm gonna be honest, dog, okay? I cannot think of a single trans woman in my life who would ever actually do that. I would never ever trade my like, you know, legitimate, like, gender identity for, like, you know, a relationship with a person, unless I'm remembering that incorrectly. If I'm misremembering that, please, by all means, tell me that I'm misremembering it. The other problem being that Steins Gate's trans femme character is the butt of a joke constantly. Steins Gate was early 2010s. Yeah, the problem is that, the trans femme character in that show is constantly the butt of jokes that are really, really mean-spirited, that are constantly just, like, kind of, like, poking fun at her gender identity. Like, oh, you know, there's the, you know, like, this one part where they're going to a motel and the guys are staying in their own room and the girls are staying in their own room. It's like, oh, well, this person's gonna be lonely. Well, oh, let this character stay with you. This character is kind of a guy, I guess. The constant thing of, oh, this character is a guy. It's like, dude, that's a woman, motherfucker. Like, are you for real right now? Are these mercs? Dude, I gotta get out of here. There's way too many fucking mercs here. This is supposed to be armor piercing. In what fucking world is this armor piercing? Yeah. It's okay. Like yeah, I think 90s to 2010s. Like, I was talking with Angel about this, actually. And I was talking about how my transition would kind of have been impossible if I was still in, like, the anime culture scene that I was in. But I kind of accredit Steins Gate with keeping, like, holding my transition back for the better part of like 5 years, I want to say. By the way, we have an ad break starting soon. We will be back in 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, like, I genuinely do believe that Steins Gate, like, watching Steins Gate and wanting to be, like, Steins Gate's, you know, like, trans femme slash, like, gender non-conforming character. Specifically because there was a time in my life where I wanted to be like that character. Not realizing that that character is a trans femme and being like, oh, well, I want to be like this character and still just be a really effeminate guy. I wanted to be a femboy. And that set my transition back by, like, the better part of, like, 5 years. Because I kept wanting to do all of the things that trans femmes get to do without being a trans femme. And experiencing a lot of trouble with it made me start, like, kind of almost going down, like, particularly, like, incel, ways of thinking. Like, oh, I guess I didn't win the genetic lottery, or I guess, you know, I didn't get born lucky enough, or what have you. When it's like, I really needed, like, a strong trans femme in my life to just be like, dude, take the fucking estrogen already, dude. Just shut up and take the fucking estrogen. It was really funny that one time I met, like, a trans mask once, and I'm still actually consistently in contact with him, and I hope he's doing well today. But, you know, he was like, hey, I can't help but notice you use she, her pronouns on your Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, it's like a roleplay thing. Just kind of feels nice using those pronouns, but I'm still a guy, honestly. And this dude just like, uh-huh, sure, yep, totally. Absolutely, yep, there's no way that egg's not gonna crack in, like, 10 years. Granted, it did take me about 5 years for that egg to crack, but it did crack. It did crack. It unfortunately got a fair amount of yolk everywhere, though. It was not a particularly pretty cracking, but a cracked egg is better than not. In the 80s, there were sitcoms that would be, like, somewhat respectable to trans issues, but still made jokes.
Sasha, get down.
Oh, goodness. Shit. Thank you so much, Chance Nezumi, for the raid. Let me give you that nice, wonderful little shout-out there. Oh, never mind, Tiana. You beat me to it. Thank you so much. Chance, thank you for the raid. Thank you for trusting your community with me. Welcome on in, raiders. I am Too Much Sascha, the Chernobyl Battle Maid. I cook, I clean, I kill, and when I'm not doing any of those things, I'm playing spooky shooty games here on Twitch. If we don't have anybody in here who's not already following Chance, please go give her a follow. She's a wonderful friend of ours. Pripyat City Hate Crew, Pripyat City Hate Crew Foundation. And Chance, tell me all about what you were doing and how it went. If you have to get up and, you know, eat, go to the bathroom, sleep, do whatever, no worries. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. Happy R Tuesdays. That's an interesting way of spelling Stalker Tuesdays, but I'll take it. I think maybe Chance meant to write Stalker Tuesdays and might have accidentally cut out the first part. Tiana, you can have Thursday. I'm not giving up Tuesday, homie. I'm sorry. But it's good to see you, Chance. With that, and good thing too, because you raided right after the ad break. That felt particularly, well timed. Tonight is PS2 night for mates now. We played Manakemia 1. It actually does sound very interesting. Tell me all about what that is. Thank you for the canteen sip, by the way, Ari. I appreciate you. What was I talking about before we got raided? Right, yeah, the transitioning thing. But it was, you know, it was, I would consider a cracked egg, no matter the state that it's in, to be at least better than an uncracked egg, in most cases anyway. And I do think I'm kind of happy that mine, you know, like, I don't know, actually. Sometimes I wonder what would have been different if, you know, that friend of mine had kind of pressed me a little bit more and actually, you know, like, gone ahead and told me to, you know, just, like, start a transition at that point. Or maybe, you know, like, tried to help me see that a little bit quicker. Sometimes I have my reasons to believe I would be a happier person, or at least, to be perfectly honest, I think the year that I started to experience gender dysphoria, up until when I actually started my transition, despite those being a surprisingly decent time where I actually started to amass a lot of friends, both online and in real life, had an okay job, and a couple of college semesters I really enjoyed, along with a partner that I was very close with. Those years of my life I still kind of look back on as probably being some of the most depressed years of my life. And I don't think it's entirely unlikely that the fact that I kept trying to stave off a transition just because I wanted to believe I could be a femboy instead, I don't think it's terribly unlikely that they played a very significant part in that. My big egg cracking thing was VR chat. Went from femboy to MB to yeah, I'm a woman XD. For me, it was weird. I don't remember exactly when it started. I know 2021 was like the year that my egg fully cracked. When I went from being like, okay, you know, I'm like fine, you know, like dressing like this, but I still want to be he, him, and I still want to go by this name. And then it was, well, I can go by like another name, maybe. You can they them me. And then after a certain point, it's like, okay, straight up, you know, like I think I just need to bite the bullet and accept it. And it was, you know, the only other thing in my life that has come anywhere close to that degree of euphoria was accepting myself as plural, and I've talked enough about that already. But the year from like 2014, when I was like, you know, starting to really, 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 you know, kind of like be like, I think how I feel about my gender is a little bit strange, and I feel like the way that I feel like I felt for a while like one of the main reasons I couldn't really seem to feel like any clothes that I wore really felt like they fit me, you know. I think when like I had always had trouble finding like a fashion style that fit me, and I never really liked looking at my reflection. I didn't like people seeing my body for most of my life, but it didn't really start to click for me that I kind of would have preferred to be, you know, in a slightly more femme look until around 2014. And granted, part of that is because of the, like, large wave of, like, anime femboy, like meme and focus in that year that kind of started to, like, really uptake from then to 2016. And on one hand, it did start making me think about my gender, but on the other hand, it just kind of made me worse. And I kept going down, like, because I was spending so much time in anime spaces, which are mostly, you know, tend to be, that's 2 bloodsuckers. Yeah, I really don't need to go in there. But anime spaces that were mostly frequented by, you know, like, incels and, like, a lot of right-wingers and generally really, really, really unsavory figures. I was, you know, questioning my gender, but I was questioning it in a way that was entirely misguided, and the thing I wanted out of it was not a thing that was even going to be possible, because it was a completely unrealistic beauty ideal pushed by incels. And I kind of fell for it, and it, you know, I paid the price, because I spent, you know, a good 5 or 6 years, basically, like, I would almost even go as far as to say, like, a good 7, just going like, man, you know, I would really like to be like this, and then, oh, wow, I can't be this. I think, like, you know, like, okay, I think, thank you for the stretch redeem. Let me go do that real quick. Now that I'm a little loser in my own space, I've gotten, like, more clear on letting myself sit outside the binary. That's wonderful to hear, Dwap. I'm really proud of you. Let me read some of these messages, by the way. Chant said the game they played is a spin-off in the universe of the Atelier games, very alchemy-focused. Pretty straightforward and slowish paced while being very cozy, even though the combat can kick your ass a tiny bit if you don't prep right. I do like games that have that balance. It's a very fun line to ride. Tiana said, I spent 20 years trying to run from what I was, and it was absolute hell. I would never trade what I am now for anything. No, absolutely. Like, if anything else, I would like to go back and just tell myself to take estrogen earlier. That would have been nice. I would have liked that. But what are you gonna do? That's 3 bloodsuckers. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I can think of things that are worth doing. This is not that. This is not... There are not enough slugs in the world to deal with this. But I can try. I think I'm missing these two. Surely you will not regret taking on 2 to 3 bloodsuckers. I'm sure whatever loot is inside that box is absolutely going to be worth this effort. Back from photographing the kitchen. Think I am too tired to cook now? Sounds like you need to get you some rest. See, I would carry expanding dart ammo, but this shotgun is rifled, which means it only takes slugs. Maybe Uma Musume should be nice to me and give me my Tamamo cross. Yeah. I have had it up to here with you fuckheads. Wait for it. Well, that's one down. Oh, bro blindsided me. Bro straight blindsided me. A rifled shotgun, doesn't it make it a rifle? Yeah, it basically is just like a pump-action rifle. It's a hunting rifle. So it only takes slugs. I like the slugs because the power behind a shotgun is still really, really nice to use. So it's a little bit better for taking on mutants. And, wait. I swear to God, this laser is a crock of shit. I also can never really tell if I'm actually hitting them with these slugs. The visual hit feedback on mutants is not always perfect. The fact that they can do that is not terribly nice either. I would like to not get knocked down. And then knocked down again by another one, you know? Girl got the dollar store IR laser. Oh wait, is this actually like... Let me see. Yeah, no, this is actually like the cheap laser. Shit, you're right, this actually... Oh, I got the Temu laser. Wait. Pick this out, they won't follow me in here. They can try. See, they can't do it. They won't come into the broken glass. There's nothing they can do about it. I can just sit here and enjoy myself some sausage. Shadow the Hedgehog is an avid gun nerd because he used a pump-action submachine gun. I remember somebody trying to make like a custom first-person weapon animation specifically for the bizarre, like, pump submachine gun thing that he uses in that intro. Which he also subsequently does not have access to in the game. Alright. Well, that's one down. Here's the good thing. Where I'm going in Rostock, not only are weapon repairs relatively cheap because I have decent, you know, relationships with the people there, but also this is a Remington 870 and they tend to be kind of dirt cheap to repair. Go ahead, try it. Wait, there's more? There's another 3 again? Okay, I have a great idea. It's called, fuck this, I am taking this and leaving. Okay. This is gonna be tough. Well. Well, it's not a real weapon at the time, but has been made since... Is it? A smoothbore AR-15. That sounds like an absolute disaster to make. But yeah, so getting back on the topic of the gender thing, is that I do wish somebody just kind of, like, put me on to taking the estrogen earlier than it was. I think the main thing is I just didn't want boobs. What a stupid thing to not want. And at the end of the day, I am happy that I took the journey at all, but I wish I started it earlier. Because being trans femme would have barred me out of a relationship that I now don't really look on with a whole lot of pride, or, you know, like, enjoyment. And it also would have, you know, like, lessened years and years and years of dysphoria and made it generally easier to get by because, I mean, not generally speaking, the, like, having to deal with, like, you know, like, the stress of, like, oh, am I going to be able to get my meds this year kind of thing is a little bit much. But all things considered, I am doing a lot better than I was when I wasn't, and, you know, just being on HRT and managing everything like this has been making a lot of things much more easy. I think the person I am today is a person I can be proud of. And holy shit, that's a lot of bloodsuckers, dude. Alright, check this out. You won't follow me in here. For me, it was the opposite. I wanted boobs, but not much else. Yeah, I think it literally was just like, I just didn't want boobs, and that was the only thing that was taking me off of it. I don't know why I didn't just fucking suck it up and get the boobs. Alright. You're in the corridor, now what? Take my shit and leave. Well, also a little bit of this. Yeah, that happens sometimes, Tiana. I generally don't even, like, I generally consider those types of, like, opinions on things to be so completely, like, non sequitur, I don't even really consider them opinions. I basically consider them to be tantamount to your average, like, you know, transphobic chud. Like, not even worth the time thinking on. They just hit each other? I think these two dipshits just hit each other. I didn't expect them to follow me this far out. That's alright. Oh, these are, Gopniks. Welcome back, Stella. Pot clean. Pasta started. I've returned. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it would be best if we didn't talk about that kind of rhetoric a whole lot on stream tonight, Tiana. I kind of want this to be a little bit more about, like, us being proud of our transitions and everything, and maybe not, it might not be best to give a whole lot of credence, or maybe not credence is the word, but I don't think it's, you don't have to apologize, but I think it might be best if we don't, spend a whole lot of time spinning our wheels talking about how that kind of thing is bad. Could go on all day. Just ain't good for the soul, you know? Let's focus on what we're proud of. Even vital surgeries I don't want to get. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm starting to want bottom surgery more and more and more every day. I remember being like, oh, I don't get voice dysphoria, you know? And to a degree, like, I definitely don't get it super bad. And when I do want, you know, a more, like, you know, feminine voice, I want one that sounds more like, say, you know, Elster from that Signalis fan animation. I don't want, like, a particularly, like, you know, like, really high-pitched kind of femme voice. I'm perfectly happy with Yeah, there you go. That's the spirit, Ari. I'm perfectly happy with how I am, in terms of my voice. Like, you know, like timbre. I just want it to be slightly, you know, tweaked a little bit. And then I'll be happy. I complained a bitch about getting a tumor removed a while back, and I'm glad my mom made me do it because it was cancerous. Yeah, that's fair. Thank you for the canteen sip, by the way. Post, how are you doing? Is that Post the Postmodern Art Podcast, a podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve? See, Chance, I felt the same too. Man, and then I started estrogen. And then I started progesterone. That's valid, homie. Good to see you, by the way, Post. Is that Skinny Pete? Good to see you, by the way, Post, and I hope you're doing well tonight. And thank you once again for gifting me that that miniature table for using with my grill that Kelly got me. I appreciate that. Wonderful gift. You're the best. Stella said I started questioning my gender because of a gender-fluid friend in high school. Never told him, though. And our friendship fell apart before I even started going as non-binary because of Undertale releasing right after I graduated. So, huh. Did we now, do you mean graduate in college or high school? Because if you mean high school, then that means we both graduated high school the same year. I appreciate it, Post. Now I just gotta get a chair. Honestly, I think we should support and look into more interesting general configurations other than one or the other. That's fair. High school. Okay, so we both graduated high school in 2015 then. That's actually kind of cool. Most interesting. How is one supposed to get to that stash over there? It appears to be underneath the Agriprum, but Agriprum is impossible to access. Unless, let me go double check again. That's so funny, Stella, because then we both graduated at the same time, and both started to, like... Well, I didn't start actually, like, going in on changing my gender identity until, like, 2020. And from 2014 to 2020, I was basically just coasting right along. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to want bottom surgery for a good long time. And then it kind of started to change, like, around, I wanted to say, like, late 2024, I want to say. It's not like I'm not like, you know, like freaking out about it, but it is like a, you know, that would be nice. I would like that. That would be nice. If I remember correctly, this is, yeah, it's inaccessible. You can't go to the Agriprum no more. Gonna shower, relax, set up a few rips for the library. Gotta get a priority list sorted out, methinks. Sounds good, homie. Proud of you, Angel. Keep up what you're doing. Yeah, it's just like, that would be nice, dude. That's fair, Tiana. And, I totally get that. That's the thing I've taken into consideration, but I think I will probably, like, brave it just because I will be down to deal with it because I know it'll make me a little bit happier. I mean, I also didn't think I was going to, like, feel differently about my voice. And granted, I do have to admit that VTubing completely changed how I saw my voice. I realized that, like, for the longest time, like up until, like, I want to say, like, 2020, the idea of my own voice, like, hearing it was, like, absolutely maddening. And I wonder how much of that was also probably related to dysphoria, because it was a situation of, like, oh, well, I can't stand hearing my own voice, and I thought it was, like a normal thing, but it kind of became clear very quickly that it was like, no, like, I just didn't like the fact that my voice sounded like that, because I associated it with being masculine. The idea of being masculine was something that I really did not like. And I just didn't know that I didn't like it. So there's that. There's that to take into account. But, like, so ultimately what ended up happening is once I, like, came out as trans and started streaming as a transgender person, things got a lot better. And yes, I do still kind of want to go for more of a, what's the word? Like, Lily is bothering me for attention, so I'm signing off for the night. Enjoy your bloodsuckers. Thank you, Tiana, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Have a good time with Lily, and please be good to yourself, friend. We love you. Yeah, no, I do still kind of want my character or myself as well to take on a little bit more of like a slightly deeper femme. Like I think deep femme voices, I wish more trans femmes understood that deeper femme voices are absolutely kino, and honestly, in my opinion, sometimes I like them a lot more than higher pitched ones. And it's actually made me really happy to see that a friend of mine who I originally met while she was going for like a more like slightly softer voice has kind of like started leaning on a slightly deeper voice now, and it actually like makes me really proud of her. She's fucking killing it with her voice, and I do want to hit that. I do want to hit like that kind of like timbre of being like a slightly deeper femme voice. I think it would make me very happy. Because anytime my friends do that, I'm really proud of them and it makes me smile. So I'd like to do that next. I do have a couple of video guides, so I'm gonna look into that. That's a bomb. I do have a couple of video guides, so I'm going to look into that. Wait, is that... Curious. But it has gotten to the point where every time I try to imagine, like, I look at my character, and I look at myself, and I think about the possibility of this character and me having, like, a kind of more, like, softer, effeminate voice, and I just go, I don't think that's for me. I really like Melazan's voice. I'm actually not sure I know who that character is. Could you fill me in, please? The only good femme I can do is far too seductive to be a normal talking voice. That's true. Like, I've talked before about how, like, me and my different headmates have our own... You really like your accent? No, your accent's fantastic, Angel. I like it. I really like the way that you speak. Honestly, I love your voice, especially. It's a really good voice. I've been streaming while trans for a decade. Real. I'm honestly proud of you. But I like your voice a lot. She's a trans from VA. Most people know her as Catalyst from Apex. I think I stopped playing Apex before that character got added, but it is very cool. I have said before, and I've also told her outright, that, ironically, Olive Carreau is, like, the person, like, the fellow trans femme with the voice that I think I want to kind of emulate the most, where it's like, you've got that great kind of, like, feminine intonation with, like, a nice, deeper, like, cadence, and I like that a lot. I told her about that. She likes hearing it. Yeah. I mean, I've talked before about how me and, like, my headmates all have, like, you know, what's the word? Like, different voices. Like, when I'm especially excitable and you know, my accent, like, my Brooklyn accent kind of starts to come through, that's me, Sasha, you're hearing. Very funnily enough, whenever I'm slightly talking in a more dour tone, you'll notice me speaking slower and kind of getting into a little bit more of a gravelly tone and just kind of thinking over my words a little bit more often. If I start talking like that, that's how you know that 80 is speaking. And, generally, if I'm talking in a slightly more droll of an Eastern European accent, you can tell that's Mira speaking. And, if I'm starting to talk like this, yeah, usually that's how you can tell it's Amber, because Amber talks like this. Yeah. Ain't that right, Amber? I just said, oh yeah, Ape Sex Legends, and Missy looks me in the eyes and says, Dunstan? You know, a lot of like 80s and 90s comedy movies seem to always need to have that segment where characters fuck for some reason. And I'm really happy that Dunstan Checks In did not do that to us. It didn't spare us from many other things. The Sega CD game. Was there a Dunstan Checks In Sega CD game? Please don't tell me there was. But like, so while Rebecca, the vessel, the body, might want a slightly more deeper, like, you know, deeper kind of femme intonation, generally speaking, like, I can't imagine myself, like, Sascha, the headmate of the system, and the character sounding any different than this voice presently sounds. It's a voice that I like a lot. And streaming is what allowed me to really kind of be happy with it and just go, you know what? You know, everybody's got things that can improve. Everybody's got things that could be better, maybe should be. Sometimes could but shouldn't. But everything has things that can be improved, but honestly, I'm kind of proud of my voice and I'm happy with how I sound, and, you know, that's just how it is. There's a Sega CD game cover that just says Dunstan fucks good. What? What? Can I buy it in, like, a bundle with, Penn and Teller's Shithead Basketball? Oh, this guy has a quest for me. He wants me to get up to some fuck shit. Yeah, I was going to say it tactfully and offer to send it. One's in chat if you played Penn and Teller's Shithead Basketball. Hey, what the fuck is that? No, what the fuck is that? There's like a thing there. Give me a sec. That guy up there will be fine. Yeah, there was a DS game they released called Penn and Teller's Shithead Basketball. Got like an IGN rating, I remember. I can't remember exactly what the rating was, though. Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden is actually, I think, like, I've played some JRPGs. They're not really my cup of tea. They're definitely more Nyx's wheelhouse. But I do think that I do have to say that there's just an Elcan Spectre just sitting on this, like, tube for some reason. I mean, fuck it, dude, I'll take it, but, like, huh? I got to grab my phone specifically to tell you, Sascha, that Angel is writhing on the floor in a giggle fit. No, legitimately. Like, Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden is a really well-designed JRPG with, like, a really fun story, great gameplay. Guy was hiding there and was like, get this shit off. Get this beta shit off me! Yeah, like, some poor stalker is 10 kilometers away wondering where his Elcan is. Well, he can pry it off my cold, dead body. But, like, you know, Barkley Shut Up and Jam, like, you know, people want to, like, rip on Yeek or whatever, and you should rip on Yeek because it's bad. But I think it's really funny that, like, the idea of, like, a surreal comedy JRPG that, like, has, like, Paper Mario style, like, combat mini games and everything, and a lot of references to 90s pop culture was already done. It was Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, and we didn't need another one. What sent me was Penn and Teller's Shithead Basketball. Have you not played it? Have you not played it? You should absolutely play Penn and Teller's Shithead Basketball. It's a timeless classic, Angel. I don't know what to tell you. I tried gaslighting Audrey into thinking it was real, by the way. She unfortunately did not buy it. So I'll just have to try harder next time. That silly porcelain bootlick. Okay, so Audrey just told me I can't, Amber just told me I, quote, can't call Aunt Audrey that. So alright, I'll have to come up with something else.
Їх треба ввімкнути.
So this quest blows ass. This guy wants me to go do something for him.
Допоможеш? За... А... Доп.
Alright, I guess I'll just go do this then. He wants me to activate some anomaly detectors on top of these silos that are absolutely going to attract some bloodsuckers. So this is a fun little throwback for... Oh, that's a lot of jerboas. That is an absolute beast of jerboas. This is too many. This is way too many jerboas. Hold on a second. Give me a second. We got any more? Oh, he's brave. Yeah, the Mickey Mouse shit Romex was definitely an interesting little thing to hear and to see in the general chat. But I can't say it was entirely unexpected. I do like how the Tushkano in this game to distinguish them from regular rats are kind of just these weird little jerboas. Little freaks is what they is. So this is a fun little throwback for people who played Call of Pripyat, because generally speaking, this game's like idea of an anomaly detector is like, you know, those like weird like scanners that that Circa has that are just scraped from Project X Tech, which of course good old Scar knows how to mess with a fair bit. But if you've played Call of Pripyat before and you decide to do this side quest, the scanners that this dude wants you to mess with are definitely they're a little bit you want to sick Zelda on the jerboas? Please do. That would make my life so much easier. But so while the anomaly scanners here in Call of Pripyat are in here in Stalker 2 are of their own design that is definitely, you know, kind of like a Circa design, you know, heavily inspired by Project X designs that they just kind of like scraped up and then decided to use for their own reason. These ones being the work of HTC Malachite and formerly the Ecologists. Call of Pripyat. Gotta switch laundry. Don't get a 10-10 clip without me. No worries. No worries, Ari. But these things in Call of Pripyat, you have an entire side quest where Professor Herman actually, may his soul rest in hell forever, and Professor Ozersk, have you set up some of these around various different anomalies, and they're designed to detect when artifacts are in anomalies. However, they also detected that the way these things check for artifacts, for some reason, seems to set off some type of, like, psi energy thing that tends to draw mutants to it. So that's the typical issue. This guy put this up here, and he wants us to turn it on and test it, and of course, while we're testing it, we are going to be besieged by mutants, specifically bloodsuckers in this instance. It's not a very fun mission, but it is a mission that is going to be good for us to just get done. This guy's also a piece of shit, because now there's like 50 bloodsuckers around here. So he's gonna get his as soon as we run our ass back. So he's gonna get his as soon as I load my save. That was perfect comedic timing, actually. Okay, let me try this again, shall we? Forgot to mind the gap. Alright, flip the switch, let's go. Now, I don't understand what he's referring to when he says, I had to do it. Because if you've only played Stalker 2, you assume that these bloodsuckers appear on behalf of him doing some fuck shit. When in actuality, no. Like, that's just how these scanners work. They just do that. He's not like a traitor or anything. He's not like a guy who, like, you know, like, screwed us over. No, that's just how these function, so... We're just gonna run on back down now and just give him his real quick. Where are you, jackass?
Не лише спокійно. Поговоримо. Що за...
Are you gonna do anything about it, my man, or what? Wow. Hey, can you be careful with that buckshot, my dude? You're hitting me. Give me 2 seconds, I'll be right with you. When God designed planet Earth, he had like a maximum occupancy of bloodsuckers in mind. This is definitely too many. Hey. Hey, watch it, my man. You're forgetting to lead your shots and you just put 2 buckshot rounds in my back. Are you good? Alright, how many of these dudes are left? We done yet? Well, my compass is still red and you're still in that pose, which means we are not done. Alright, give it all to me, baby.
Перш ніж стріляти,
You got one chance.
в тебе ці прилади, вимірювачі аномалій. Зазвичай це займає якийсь час, але мені шкода, що так вийшло.
So, okay, so you're admitting this was a setup. You're admitting that you were trying to get somebody, but it wasn't for us.
Міг би одразу розповісти, і не було б питань. Скинув на КПК. І тримай ще невеличкий. Це перепустка мого напарника. Було.
Oh.
Загалом.
Oh, that's like an easy pass for Malachite. If I just did this quest, I could have just gone straight to Malachite after that and had work. Oh, well. I guess next time I wanna go to Malachite, just go do that. Stalker joined the community server. You know what? Now that I've gotten that quest done, this is actually a good opportunity to do this real quick. Give me just a moment once I find this stash on top of this fucking building. Hold on a second. Am I seeing that right? Yes, I am. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. You're back. You kind of did, actually, Ari, because there was a part where I said that a character was, quote, gonna get his, and then I immediately, like, jumped off a roof like an idiot. That was kind of funny. But this isn't about that. Okay. So, let me tell y'all about something cool real quick. Alright? Keep this. So, I've been working on this fun little thing here, alright? I've been working on this fun little thing. Like, let's just say I've had some inspiration sparking. I've had some cool ideas. And I've been thinking. I always like finding cool new ways to kind of get my community, like, creating and doing things. Between Amanda hosting our, like, listening parties and Sludge hosting our movie nights, Missy and Amanda also hosting the, Missy and Amanda also hosting the different game nights of, like, Helldivers and, what's it called? Vintage Story. And also myself hosting the Glock parties, the competitive gaming nights every month, at least once. A big part of what we do in the 100 Rads Discord server, you know, the official server for the Pripyat City Hate Crew, is we find ways to kind of keep people engaged, keep people creating, and keep people kind of doing things together. And And I actually have to admit, I took some inspiration from some bespoke sources this time, and I decided to make a new event. Like, not quite an event per se, because it's not going to be like a broadcasted or like in VC or like actively like presently like participated in live event. It's going to be something a little bit different. But I think you'll like it. So what I've done is, from the time that I've spent in a couple of spaces online specifically dedicated to like creative purposes, I have made this. We are actually going to be hosting a Pripyat City Hate Crew writing jam in the server, and it's going to be starting tonight. From tonight all the way until the 1st of March. You have until the first week of March. What's like the first day of March? Yeah, 1st of March. 1st of March works. So from now until the first day of March, I am putting up a fun little prompt of, in 2.5, like 2.5k, so around like, 2,500 words or less, write a fun little short story about life in a dangerous altered zone. Now, it doesn't have to be Chernobyl. It doesn't have to be any existing property. It can just be your own little, like zone that you kind of create and make up your own rules for. It can be any genre, from romance to action to horror, you name it. And you can use your own OCs or whatever you want. I do ask they are safe for work only, but once stream is all closed up shop tonight, I will head on down to the server, I will create the event, and then I will make the announcement and create a voice channel where people can drop their stories. I am asking that we limit it to 1 entry per person, and please keep them safe for work so it follows our server rules. But I did want to find ways, because I know we have a lot of people in the server who see like what I've been doing with the wiki or a lot of my other writing and say, oh, I really want to get into writing, or I would love to get back into writing, or, this kind of thing. And I feel like this is going to be a fun way to really get people to stretch their legs. I decided that, like, obviously, like, the last writing jam that I observed was, like, a microfic jam that was, like, a word limit of, like, 1,000. I didn't want to do that, because once you start getting into very low word limits, you're basically kind of, like, challenging people to, like, find the most concise wording possible to really cram a narrative down into a short space to make it hit with maximum punch. Now, in a space like Mexplo that is mostly staffed by hardcore hobbyists who are really, really looking to hone their craft like a razor's edge, like a diamond-tipped razor's edge. Here, considering a lot of what I'm trying to do is either get burnt veterans to pick it up again, or get newbies to finally start it for the first time, I'm mostly doing this to kind of jumpstart people into writing when they've been out of practice of it. So this is a pick up writing for the first time, or again, exercise to really stretch your legs with it. So I figured 2,500 words isn't too short that you're forced to condense a narrative down, but it's not so big that you're struggling to fill it. I think it's a good happy medium. Obviously, the second writing jam is probably going to be, a little bit, this is kind of like an experimental run of, let's see what we learn on this. Let's see how it goes, what things we can change the next time. Wait, also, hold on a second. Okay, no, it actually doesn't have the effect on it. That's interesting. Never mind. I thought that the bar music... Wait, no, it does. I've had an extra, God damn it. The bar music has had an extra VST effect since I last opened this up with Emon. Sorry about that, I just had to take care of that. But yeah, so the entire point of the event is to get newbies and, veterans to pick up the pen again or for the first time. So, obviously this is kind of going to be a trial run of seeing what we need to change and what can be done better for the next one. But if you are interested in taking part in this, you can always hit !Discord to get a link to our Discord server like Stella did up there. Join on in and see if you want to take part in it. I'm very much looking forward to people coming up with their own little like storylines of characters surviving in all sorts of fun little places. Like I've said, original settings encouraged. Please don't feel like you have to world build to the extreme. If anything else, I actually think I want this like story kind of like jam to be a very like less is more thing when it comes to your storylines. And I like, you might try writing for the jam even though you have a hard time with it. Well, that's definitely the thing, is that with a smaller word count, you don't have to worry about like trying to fill a thing. You can just give it a shot. So I want people to come up with their own settings, but don't feel like you have to go overboard on the world building or figuring out the rules for it. I want this to be a very less is more thing, where you just find a way to make it compelling by what the audience doesn't know. You know, enjoy using whatever OCs you would prefer. I think that could be really fun. And I look forward to it. So, you know, I will officially put the announcement, the channel, and the event up in the Discord server, and the official deadline is the 1st of March. And I greatly look forward to seeing what all of you do. Because we've got a lot of homies in the 100 Rads who are like, damn, I wish I could write, or I want to pick up writing again, or I would like to start writing. And with all of them, I'm always just like, why wait? Why not start now? So, in the interest of having a fun new way to give everybody in the Hey Crew a thing to do that really brings them together. And on top of that, you know, being a fun way of keeping everybody creative in the Hey Crew. I think this is a good idea. The most important thing I want to add, by the way, this isn't a contest. These are not going to be judged. There is not going to be any, like, live stream where I read all of the entries and you know, give them a ranking or whatever. There is not going to be any, like, rating system. I'm going to turn off reacts in the channel, so nobody can, you know, like, you know, get any, like, FOMO or RSD from not getting the same, you know, airplay anybody else does. It'll be a simple, you post it, and then you're good. So I don't want there to be any posting in the channel other than your, like, fics. I might even just have it be like, oh, send your fic to me or whatever, and I'll post it in there for you. But generally speaking, yes, it's just going to be like a post your stories and that's all kind of thing. So no judging, no like broadcasting, no looking over all of it, no like making a big post thread where I go on Blue Sky and talk about all of it. It's just good, like, so don't, primarily in the interest of making sure people don't feel nervous about, oh, I'm gonna, you know, post my fic and I'm worried about what somebody will say, or I'm worried about getting a big spotlight on a thing that's just like an exercise, you know. We're keeping it low-key. It's mainly why we're keeping it specifically in the Discord server. So your fics can be posted to AO3 if you want, but, you know, you could post it there, you could post it to read-only mine, or you could just put, like, the raw text file straight into Discord, or just, like, a raw link to something like Ellipsis or Google Docs. I will probably give everybody a fun little thing that's like, hey, if you're looking for a good Google Docs alternative that doesn't scrape your shit for AI and works a little bit better, heavily recommend using Ellipsis. It is a fantastic app. In fact, while I'm still in here real quick, I will link to it for just a moment. If I can find the thing. Here we go. It is called Ellipsis, and I've been using it this entire time. Like, I want to say since, like, around, like, mid-2025. It's a fantastic app. You can still collaborate with it like Google Docs. You can still sync it across devices like Google Docs. It also has color themes that I'm very big fan of. And on top of that, it has a very fun spell check, really good formatting options. Ellipsis actually has an export straight to AO3 button with all of your formatting included in it, which I think is genius. It also has a great variety of, like, character building and world building templates for you to kind of get your creative juices flowing whenever you're not able to do anything else. You have folders you can classify all of your documents into. It's a really great system. I heavily recommend Ellipsis. Obsidian is cool. I don't like Obsidian is kind of like a bit of a pain because I use that more for like a to-do list, note taking, and like keeping track of tasks for working thing. But I do like Obsidian a lot. But if anybody in chat is either is like thinking about like, you know, Google Docs alternative, that has, in my opinion, way more features and is way more user-friendly and also has openly sworn off AI. Amaryllis is a good point. Use Obsidian either for, you know, like world building and like note taking and like task planning like I do, or use it for writing like she does. Or I also alternatively heavily recommend Ellipsis. I think it's a fantastic app. A lot of our good friends use it. 10 out of 10. So I'll be posting an announcement about this, and I'm very, very excited to pull it, to, you know, show it off and be like, hey, you know, what's up, everybody? Check it out. Check it out. Come on down. Be a part of this. It'll be fun. And if you don't, then hell, you know, we'll see you for the next writing jam. But I just want to get people in the hate crew creating. I want to get people making stuff. And it feels like a lot of people in the crew have been having their own fun little ideas they've had bouncing around their head for a while. It'll be really fun to put this up and be like, all right, let's start firing on all pistons. Let's like make a thing, you know? I'm excited. I'm really excited. So that's that. Now, with that being said, I am actually going to get up and go to the bathroom. We have an ad break happening in 3 minutes, and I'm actually just going to have it right now. And then when I get back, we'll probably run for like another hour or two and then call it a night. So, be back in a little bit, my friends. Don't go anywhere. Love you. Just a moment.
溢れる愛強く
It was a slightly longer BRB than I expected. But I did want to see if I couldn't just get the event posted while I was already, in my BRB state, so I got that all done. And yeah, so now the event's actually formally announced in the server, so this is nice. Probably gonna keep going for another, like, 45 minutes to, like, you know, a good, like, you know, hour or so. We'll see how it goes, but, I feel like I do owe you that after me spending so much time in the BRB state. I did need a little bit of a moment to decompress, though. Alright, let's get back to the game, shall we? Alright, here we go. All of y'all behave yourselves while I was up and out? Hope so. I hope so. So, we now have... Right, there was a stash that I had to go grab here, and it's actually up there. Not entirely certain how to get to it. In writing? Jesus, already, huh? There are more jerboas in here? Oh, right. No, I'm really happy you like writing. Like, that's the whole point of this, is to get people into writing and you know, getting on it. You know, because I've got a lot of homies who are, like, you know, really, really good writers. Like, Angel, everything she shows me is wonderful. Fucking Lav is cooking up constantly cool ideas all the time. Indeed, writing fun. Writing fun. All of y'all are always cooking up really cool ideas, and I'm just like, well, you know, we got a lot of people who want to get into writing, a lot of people who are like, oh, I write things, but I can't post it here, or what have you, so it's like, well, why don't I... Why don't I gather your writing here and disguise it as my own event? That is the most absolutely shoehorned attempt at a Steamed Hams reference ever. Everyone write more toxic lesbians. As long as they fit into the story prompt. Don't worry, Chapter 2 of Nobody Hurts Me Better is very steadily making its way. I'm trying my best to balance work with taking breaks and hanging with friends, and also, you know, getting creative energy out. So, I'm kind of writing quite a bit of a line here, but I'm doing my best. But I hope you all look forward to it, because I'm really cooking on this one. And I'm excited to see what you all make for the prompt. And generally speaking, if this goes well and you know, everything turns out nicely, you can absolutely look forward to there being another one, probably in time for the summer. This is a good, like, winter one, if not, like, spring one, and then, you know, we can, like, probably do one, like, right before the summer, etc. So, you know, we'll probably do this, like, you know, like, multiple times a year, semi-seasonally, so I look forward to that. And that'll be nice. So, obviously, of course, like I was saying, much of how this event goes down will determine how we continue to run them. I will probably continue to talk with other writers and other friends about how I can, you know, maybe, like, smoothen this out a little bit. I don't expect this to be perfect. I don't expect there to be that many entries. Because the thing I've noticed is that when you got homies who write, but they don't write all the time, it's kind of hard to, like, you know, kind of, like, how do I put this? How do I say this? Like, a lot of times it's kind of hard to, like, break into the writing. Because, like, the thing that I almost like to think about, like, writing, I think, is the type of creative work that I would argue takes the most amount of time to really consume, and it kind of sticks with you the longest. So it's a lot easier to kind of feel more, I guess, self-conscious about your work as a writer, and thusly a lot of people do kind of get turned off from the idea of writing fairly easily, myself especially, because there was a very long stretch of time in my life where I wasn't writing. And, like, I was writing a decent amount in middle school, but it was mostly just really edgy fan fiction. And then I basically didn't write at all until, like, a little bit of and a little bit of high school. And my work in high school was, also edgy fan fiction. And then I stopped. And I didn't write for, you know, a very, very, very long time. And, it wasn't until around like 2021, 2022 that I started writing again, but it was mostly smut. Then I stopped writing again. Until the first thing I actually wrote ever since that was a little piece you can find on my AO3 called A Matter of Internal Repairs. And honestly, for the first thing that I ever wrote after basically being in and out of not writing for years, I was pretty proud of it. And a lot of people told me they liked it, and that kind of, you know, inspired me to keep at it. And, obviously, I didn't get a lot of writing done after that point. I had a couple of fics that I kind of kept prototyping. Some of them I am still working on, like We Could Die Like This, or a few others. But generally speaking, you know, like, ever since, you know, late 2023, I've kind of just been consistently hammering it with the writing. So I've been writing all types of things, from the thrillers to the Yuri, you name it. But for most of my life, you know, with the exception of, like, some edgy fan fiction, I kind of just wasn't really writing, and part of it was because when you're writing, there's something about it. Like, you can draw, like, a piece of art that you're not proud of, and then it's like, well, as long as you just don't look at it, it's fine. But, like, there's something about the way the words can stick in your head, so it's like, you know, you write a thing, and you're not super proud of it, but it takes, like, a lot of time to read through it and really dissect why it doesn't sit right with you. And it's way easier to get in your own head about your writing, in my experience. And it's very easy to get, like, kind of, like, self-conscious about your writing, especially when showing it to other people. Which is kind of why I try to go out of my way here to be like, look, alright, we're not going to be broadcasting this or running a contest, so you don't have to feel like your work is going to be judged. It's just an opportunity for people to post, you know, to write up a fun little story and post it here if they'd like. And, you know, you can, you know, just like we can read each other's stories. We don't have to, you know, like give like a major event over it or anything. Keep it nice and low-key. Just because, you know, I got a lot of homies who would probably be like, you know, I don't want people to feel like nervous posting their work if they're new or haven't done it in a while, you know. The whole thing is to get people creating, and so a big part of this event is putting a focus on making there be as less of a judgmental environment as there can be. That's a mood. I haven't been able to work on my own writing for a hot minute outside of manically cranking out a short story the other day. No, that's really how it is, because I mean, like, especially in the case of Matter of Internal Repairs, I wrote that story in a single day. I wrote it on Thanksgiving. I wrote that on Thanksgiving, and then I just kind of did it. A lot of my stories are written in very, very short succession. Well, actually, no. Coward and Courtship took a decent amount of time. But generally, the meat of my stories tends to get hammered out in very, very short time frames. So, point once again, because I have a lot of homies who, you know, a big part of this event is to get homies who are nervous about writing into writing. I do want this to be an event where the focus is more on trying to make it feel as appealing as possible to get into writing. So, like, you know, lack of, like, a judgy atmosphere, trying to keep it, like, as like, you know, little engagement as possible, and just, I can't, like, it's hard to put it, but it's, like, the general thing is I just almost feel like I'm just standing out here and saying, write something. Write something. It doesn't have to be good. I just want to see you write. I just want to see you create. And that's the whole thing. Because I've been talking about my own writing. Melissa, how are you doing tonight? It's good to see you. Thank you for the canteen sip. Is there a stretch redeem coming up after this? I bet there is. I do need to take a sip, though. Hey, Wisp, good to see you as well. But, yeah, the general thing is just, like, I just want to see y'all create, because I talk a lot about my writing, and I like talking about my homies' writing. And we got so many homies who want to write, and it's like, well, here's your opportunity. You know? Here's your prompt, here's your rules, get cracking, you got a month. Let's see what you do. A little bit of time constraint, a little bit of a size restraint so you don't get scope creep.
We'd like to take a moment to announce that...
A nice little prompt to help get your brain moving. And, Let's get y'all creating. Let's get y'all working on something, you know? Like, this idea literally came to me, like, the other day. Like, give me a second, I gotta stretch real quick. Like, generally speaking, I enjoy reading more than writing. That's fair. See, for me, it's actually the other way around. I need to be in a very specific headspace to read, and I don't get a lot of time to read like I do to write. Which is an interesting dichotomy to have. SMH setting us up to do a creative project in the shortest month of the year. Ah, oops. I also like reading, and I would be reading more if I wasn't so fucking busy. I was a huge reader. I used to like just punch through like entire like novellas in like a day and go through whole Stephen King novels in like a week. Like, I just used to always be reading. And granted, I do still read, you know, though obviously, while I used to read a lot of, like, Michael Crichton, Stephen King, and Richard Preston, if you don't know who Richard Preston is, he wrote a little book called The Hot Zone about different strands of Ebola and also the Marburg virus, as well as an actual collaborative novel with Michael Crichton called Micro. He also did a very interesting little sci-fi, you know, like thriller kind of thing called The Cobra Event, which is about, you know, like a bioterror attack. Cobra Event was interesting, but I obviously preferred The Hot Zone for its, you know, like pure like nonfiction / like semi-biographical story. Remember correctly, I had another book of his. Oh fuck, I think they're up in my fucking mom's attic. Another book of his called The Demon in the Freezer, which was about smallpox and the fact that it is still, for some baffling reason, still kept to this day. I think you should write that, Angel. Hell, you know what might be a good opportunity for that? What's this little event we're hosting? That could actually be a really fun way to kind of get that, you know, that stretch your legs there. It is kept just in case. I mean, I don't know, dog. I don't know shit about this kind of thing. That was my idea. Fuck yeah! Oh, that, Angel, that makes me so excited. I'm so excited to see what you do. I was like carrying a rifle grenade when I wasn't using the rifle that it goes in. Chat, is she stupid? Wisp said I never read that one. The Hot Zone's interesting. I liked it a lot. I think it's a very cool novel about, you know, need to practice writing more. Well, here's hoping I see an entry with your name on it in the event. That could be fun, but obviously no pressure. And like I said, it's not like I'm going to be looking at these with like a judgy thing of like, well, you know, this entry had this element, but I kind of think this entry did that a little bit better. Instead, it's just going to be going, wow, look at all my homies and all the cool shit they're making. This is dope. And then just kind of like encouraging y'all to keep at it. Like at the end of the day, no matter what, like the response I'm going to have to everybody's stories, like obviously I want you all to be reading each other's and learning more about your own creative processes and seeing how it goes. But most importantly, the thing I'm going to be coming away from this with is going to be keep at it. Like, you know, for the veterans who came back to writing for this event and churn something out, great. Keep at it. You know, keep those legs moving. Keep making stuff. Keep that momentum. For people who have never written before and have always wanted to write and got their first start with it here, keep at it. Keep moving. Keep up the momentum. To people who are doing this primarily just to hone their craft and want to try a brand new concept or wanting to, you know, really kind of get into it again, or like, you know, really kind of like keep sharpening their tongue here, keep at it. Keep the momentum up. Remember going into a deep dive on smallpox when I played through Splinter Cell Pandora. It was a wild time. Yeah, oh, thank you for the canteen, Sipileski. I used to be, very, 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 like, give me a second. Let me do that sip first before I go into this diatribe. Wisp said I would like to do prop to paper for writing, but alas, my wrist decides to go critical. Real. Angel says it allows me to get technical about how dolls work and how CBRN threats affect them and people around them. Yes, fantastic fucking approach. Going to be like, okay, let's take this concept and let's find a way to really kind of like apply it to concepts I'm already exploring to create something entirely new. Oh, you're making me smile so big, Angel. Yeah, Wise, I actually used to be very, very big into researching like biological disasters or like biological weaponry or particularly, you know, like dangerous illnesses. I had a good stretch of time where I was really, really, really heavily obsessed with like looking into like, say, the original Black Plague or biological warfare or a lot of that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I'm kind of happy I don't anymore. Because I realized once I stopped hyperfixating on all of the horrible things that can happen to a person without them meaning to, I kind of was a lot less anxious and worried all the time. Like, it used to be a huge hyperfixation. Like, I'm dead ass about that. Like, I was like constantly reading about all of these, like, you know, like major, like, you know, biological incidents and you know, like germ warfare and like major like disease outbreaks and shit. And it was like, man, why am I like so like, why do I like feel really nervous all the time? Oh, right, it's because like that's like a it's a cool hyperfixation to have, you know. I mean, granted, it's not like things are a whole lot better because right now my hyperfixations are nuclear incidents as they have been for the last decade. Because I mean, you know, my favorite game of all time or my favorite game series of all time is about them, and also extreme weather. It gets to a point of, oh, these things still exist in the world. Oh no, yeah, like you can't like. I think part of it is that I am a natural warrior. I am a natural worrier, so it's hard for me to really bridge that. Having that as a hyperfixation fucks with you. Yeah. Like, I am like the kind of person where it's like I do still have hyperfixations about somewhat grim things. Nyx had to like come into my room last night and be like, "All right, hun, how do I put this?" She was like, "Hey, hun, I'm going to bed. Make sure you don't stay up too late. And you were just telling me you were spending like 2 hours watching a documentary about the Vegas shooting. Please make sure you watch something nice and cozy before you go to bed." Unfortunately, I let her down because I watched a 1 hour long brick and mortar video about the fall of Texas Tower 4. So I did kind of fail her. But I do kind of tend to hyperfixate on things like major infrastructural disasters, extreme weather, or nuclear incidents. I am not going to talk about how I feel about the Vegas shooting, because I feel like if you watch any channels that have talked about that, you are probably going to immediately know exactly how I feel, because I feel like that, which is I feel it's really fucking weird that a thing that insane and devastating just stopped being talked about by anybody. But we're not going to talk about it, which I guess kind of does sort of drive the point home. We do need to play that storm chasing game. I love disaster relief as a hyper focus because it's helpful. It's actually one thing that I really love about storm chasing, because the best storm chaser YouTubers, especially guys like Pecos, Hank, and more, are guys who actually help out with like, you know, like rescuing people, taking people to the hospital, and everything else like that. Like they're not like first responders, but hell, they're better than your average looky-loo when a tornado happens. So I really like storm chasing YouTubers for that reason. Storm chasing is a really, really interesting thing. It is still insane to me that like the first like real. Also, I need to catch up on some chat messages. What is it? Let's see. Wisp said, I like historical fiction. I got a Christmas as a Vintage Tank magazine from 76. It has a news snippet from 77. My hyperfixation is tanks and vehicles, and uses beyond just go boom. That's fair. I couldn't get into that. I thought about tanks for a while. My dad was into, like, World War II tanks, and I can't get into it. I can't really, like, hyperfixate on, like, things that kill. Like, I can enjoy the aesthetic of those things, like in the case of, like, Milsim stuff, but I can't, I've found that it didn't really end up being terribly good for my soul to hyperfixate on things that kill. Let's see here. Storm chasing is one of the most metal hobbies. Storm chasing is so dope. Also, hey, Faulty, how are you doing tonight? Kelly, good to see you, by the way. Can we get a shout out for Kelly, pretty please? Actually, hold up real quick, Kelly. I will get you a shout out in just a second. Let me give Oleski this shout out first. Especially because Oleski actually shares a PNG from an artist that you've used before, Kelly, which I think is really cool. Oleski, I meant to give you a shout out as soon as I saw you. How are you doing tonight? It's really good to see you in our chat. I need to catch another one of your streams. And Kelly, I will give you a shout out as soon as I can after. Yeah, I really like storm chasing. I think that I also have a fixation on weather sirens to the point where I actually took a photo of one that's like above, like at the fire station right outside my post office the other day. That was fun. I really, I like weather sirens, but I'm really into tornadoes. Tornadoes and storm chasing are a really interesting kind of thing to hyperfixate on. I think they're cool. I think they're really pretty. I think tornadoes are that interesting. You know what? I'm actually just going to real quick read out a segment that I posted on my Blue Sky alt, actually. If you can allow me this, I do kind of want to read this out, because it's how I feel about storm chasing as a hyperfixation. And I would hope that it would prove to be a thing that is interesting to y'all. Let's see here. Here we go. Faulty says, overly sleepy. Fell asleep and I feel sleepy despite just waking up. Well, if you didn't sleep long enough to get like a full rest, but you slept long enough for your REM sleep to kick in, it sounds like you took a nap and then entered REM sleep, and now you feel drowsy because you didn't rest for long enough. Wisp says my little bro would have a heart attack if you heard about a tornado watch. Oh yeah, I was dating a person who was extremely anxious about tornadoes, which didn't clash well considering I was a person who, one, really thought weather sirens were cool, and two, had a hyperfixation on tornadoes. He was not a fan of me, info dumping about that. Angel said severe weather was my favorite thing to do when I worked broadcast. Amy says, I remember once I was getting dinner with the rest of the glass department at my uni with a guest artist, and a tornado touched down like 40 miles away. And the department head was like, well, if you get sucked up with the tornado, I guess you won't graduate. Honestly, if that's not like your typical like uni professor thing, I don't know what else is. Not even the gods themselves would make me move in severe weather. So here, I posted this thread to Blue Sky a good few weeks ago. I'm kind of glad I grew up in a region with no tornado activity, but having had a storm chasing fixation for 5 years, I'll be damned if some part of me wouldn't be mesmerized if I took a trip to Midwest during May just to see one in person. Just a little stovepipe over farmland is a treat. I'd probably have a heart attack looking at those multi-vortices, mesocyclone wedges that turn the sky pitch black, but maybe a smaller one in an outbreak would be exciting to see. I just find the sights and sounds fascinating, the way the wind rushes, the sound of the distant sirens harmonizing. It's fascinating. I've had a weather siren fixation to the point where I have an account on a forum specifically for discussing them. That's real, by the way. Multiple accounts that post videos of them being tested in my area, and I have been ride or die for a Texan storm chasing YouTuber for 5 years now. It beats true crime fixations. I also think the historical context of the more devastating ones fulfills a morbid curiosity. The 1999 Bridge Creek Moore F5, the 2011 Joplin EF5, the 2013 El Reno, that one's especially interesting. That, and aesthetically it fills a hole that I often stuff Godspeed You Black Emperor's music into. The open farmlands, nothing in sight for miles, skies turn dark gray, even black. Hail falls in summer, winds whip up and roar in your ears, distant sirens sing like angels, and far off you see the clouds reach down to touch the land beneath your feet. It seems not to move. It must be approaching you. Urban decay, mundane devastation by way of nature or abandonment is simply my preferred color palette of Americana. Blame Duster's Stratosphere for giving me an alternative to polar fever that makes me hopelessly infatuated with Midwestern desolation and the sheer might of temperature differences. I've long yearned for a video game that could fill this temptation, but aside from Stalker Anomaly's more exciting moments during emissions on the more open levels, nothing comes close. I've seen some storm chasing games, but none of them feel like they hit the mark. I don't want an exciting blockbuster action game about a tornado. I want to trudge across empty rural land with the horizon ever contrasting as the hot summer air turns cold and I look up in horror to see the clouds swirling. I want to run for my life and hide in houses that couldn't hope to withstand. I want to step through the wreckage of homes in the middle of nowhere, search for survivors, help those in need, and be on my way as an out-of-tune acoustic guitar twangs and strums with ever-growing intensity, the distant sirens blaring like a shepherd's tone and sub-vortices dance together into a column. I'm normal. And then Ziggy, of course, commented, "It makes you feel any better. I've had pretty much the exact same fixation since childhood and want to see one in person from a safe distance one day." He also commented on that Clem Schultz video of somebody actually recording a tornado as it gets close to their house. I said that video really is legendary, isn't it? I think a lot about that guy walking through a resort hotel while Hurricane Ike turns it into a giant harmonica. Haunting, really. Yeah, Angel, you were telling me about derechos. Those are fucking terrifying. We gotta talk weather being from tornado country. Absolutely. Amy, you did comment on that thread because you commented about how I said when I commented on what is it, historical context in relation to the 2011 Joplin is interesting. Joplin is a very interesting tornado because of the fact that there was literally no way they could have possibly predicted it. Like, it appeared and became absolutely lethal before anybody had any time to react with a degree of accuracy to it, especially in a place where, one, the tornado sirens weren't reaching enough people, and two, people suspected there being false alarms anytime the fucking sirens went off. Like, Joplin was quite, if you'll pardon the pun here, a perfect storm, and it was absolutely horrible. Once started using AI. Oh, I'm so sorry, dog. I have actually two really good channels I recommend, and I can link them both here for you guys, actually, because I think storm chasing, I really do mean it when I say that storm chasing is a hyperfixation that beats true crime by a wide margin, partially because true crime is very, very heavily intertwined with propaganda. I'm just gonna say that out loud. It is, and I'm sorry if it hurts to hear that, but it is. True crime is very, very propaganda adjacent. And I really, really don't like that. On top of that, true crime tends to be very, very disrespectful towards the victims and kind of turns them into a reality show. And oftentimes is actually kind of really, really weirdly reverent of people who commit horrible, horrible atrocities. I find true crime, generally speaking, to be like a mark of, I don't think you're a bad person, but I think you're about like one good push off the edge away from being a person I really don't feel safe around if you watch true crime stuff. Especially the kind of true crime that like idolizes serial killers, like what's been going on with like Dahmer and Gein. Like, my litmus test for any true crime content is how hard do you clown on Dahmer. The Dahmer show was so fucking disgusting because they asked the families of the victims, hey, are you okay with us doing this? The families said no. They did it anyway. The fucking families were having to, during Halloween that season, see people dressing up as the guy who killed their brother, uncle, like family members. Dressing up as the guy who killed their family members at like their high schools. Like that is like, that would make me feel like I was going fucking insane. What is wrong with you? So with extreme weather and storm chasing fixations, if you're in it just for morbid curiosity because you want to learn about the destructive power of something, you can, but with storm chasing, it's nature. It's a blameless thing. It's a thing that just happens. You're not technically giving publicity and reverence to a human being who chose to do something awful. You are learning something about nature, a thing that very clearly acts upon a certain type of logic, a certain rule governed by the earth. tornadoes don't just happen, they happen because of certain weather patterns, they happen because of temperature and pressure differences and all sorts of different things. Nature is blameless. There is no way that it can be like, you can't like, you don't idolize a killer with nature. You're just saying, so when this happened, these different types of systemic failures prevented the people of Joplin from being warned with adequate time to be able to get to safety. 2, these exact elements of the weather patterns caused this tornado to happen and become a multi-vortices mesocyclone. Okay. It's interesting. So it's like, if you're really just into it because you want to, you know, like, because, like, let's be real, okay? A lot of people get into true crime because they have a morbid curiosity thing, and just really, really like learning about things that cause human suffering. Like, I'm not even gonna joke. Like, let's be honest about that. And a part of it is because that was me for a while. A big part of why I got into true crime, like, right before 2020, was because I was just really morbidly curious. And I was like, for some reason I can't turn away from this thing about, like, you know, bad things happening to people who don't deserve it. Before I started actually kind of, like, before 2020, I was a really, really, like, not super empathetic person, and I just generally wasn't, like, my priorities were all out of fucking whack. And once 2020 rolled around and I realized I couldn't have that kind of detachment anymore, I had to start caring about people. And I couldn't just hide it behind, like, cynicism and apathy. I had to start giving a shit about my fellow person. That all completely changed. And that, so, like, if you're really, like, post-2020 true crime became ass, absolutely. So it's like, if you're into it just because you want morbid curiosity, storm chasing can get you that without you idolizing a horrible person. But the better part is that storm chasing is incredibly, like, interesting because, 1, beautiful imagery, very interesting field recordings and soundscapes. 2, you learn a lot about meteorology and weather from watching it. True crime, on the other hand, follows police profiling, which, let's be 100% honest, police profiling is one of the biggest pseudosciences to ever get this much coverage in the modern millennia. Like, let's keep it 100. Police profiling is pseudoscience. It's completely pseudoscience. And not only that, but it is pseudoscience that directly benefits the status quo. It is pseudoscience that benefits systemic violence against marginalized people. Like, police profiling is one of the most dangerous and most harmful pseudosciences. And most true crime stuff, especially police interrogation breakdowns, are very heavily feeding into that pseudoscience. But the meteorology, yeah, exactly. No, Ari, you hit the nail on the head. Look how this person in a stressful situation is stressed, clearly guilty. Like, meanwhile, like I think what made me really realize how fucked up true crime was when Chris Watts killed his family, and you got to see an entire niche subculture swarm over them like vultures. Dozens and dozens and dozens of multi-million subscriber channels all couldn't wait to talk about this. And they were all putting out videos before the goddamn legal trial was even done. But with storm chasing, there's none of that. Storm chasing is, so here's this tornado. Like, obviously a lot of people are rushing to go record the tornadoes when an outbreak happens. But it's like, it's nature. It's just a thing that happens. And it's not like an industrial accident, because an industrial accident, there's no warning. An industrial accident just happens and then everybody's gone. But with tornadoes, it's like, it's a thing that's just kind of like happening, and then, like, you know, you get a warning, okay, I'm gonna go stop by here and see if I can't get a look at it or whatever. It's like, with storm chasing, there's no disrespecting victims because victims aren't named. And honestly, per tornado, you, like, the amount of tornadoes that actually cause, like, really, really devastating, like mass casualty damage are surprisingly few and far between. Like, El Reno 2013 didn't kill that many people. Joplin 2011 was pretty bad, Bridge Creek Moore, Oklahoma, 1999 was actually pretty bad. There was also the 2013 Moore, and a couple of others. But, like, generally speaking, tornadoes don't kill that many people. So it's a little bit easier, to stomach. And most of the damage just tends to be structural. So, you know, it is what it is. You never seen this face toggle? Yeah, I don't use it a whole lot. Twop says 99% of the things that they have built up as important have a proper track record equivalent to, you know, the polygraph. Yeah, the polygraph is complete bullshit anyway. Stella says, I feel like the extreme weather disaster stuff has a little bit of overlap with engineering disaster stuff. But instead of it being about nature, it's about bureaucratic failings or human error with the construction or upkeep of a thing. So, for both, and also Angel said, let me see here. Engineering failures are incredibly interesting to me because you get the entire run-up to the disaster and how things slowly fail over time. It's insane. So I have 2 channels for both of these concepts, okay? You did see it, did? Oh, right, yeah, with the sub-vortices that kind of, like, dance together. It's so fucking interesting. Let me see here, 13, let me see if I can't find the channel. So there's two storm chasing channels and 2 like structural and industrial accident like not industrial accident, but you know, like breaking down kind of like infrastructural failures. Kelly, it's actually a good thing you mentioned that because that's one of the ones I'm gonna bring up right now. Give me a second. So. Okay, so I got you, right? Check this out. Real quick, we're gonna go to the bar. We're gonna go to the bar real quick. Okay, so I got 2 channels right here, okay? So the first up, on the subject of, like, industrial incidents and infrastructural failures, Brick and Mortar. Really good channel. Talks a lot about naval stuff. I really liked his video about Texas Tower 4. I think I cut my teeth on his channel with, I think it was, like, some of his videos about, like, Maryland duck tours, like Branson and Seattle. Brick and Mortar is a really good channel. Love his stuff, though it's mainly going to be about, like, naval or, like, at-sea stuff. For more industrial things, very heavily recommend USCSB. Yes, this is the actual United States Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board. They have incredibly high detail renders about chemical and industrial accidents. The narrator is a fantastic narrator, and they've never used AI. They are a fucking incredible channel. They also do a really, really good job at talking. Also, we're about to get an ad break in 30... Here, let me snooze it. Here we go. I want to snooze it before I do this. The USCSB is a really, really well governed organization that is all about, like, investigating disasters after they've happened and finding out how to prevent them from happening again. And they also frequently post, like, preventative videos about how to, like, stay safe and a lot of other things. USCSB are fantastic. I really like these guys. So these guys in Brick and Mortar are 2 really good channels for talking about infrastructural things. I like them a lot. Now with storm chasing, my gold standard for storm chasing is Pecos Hank. He's a Texan guy. He makes his own music for his channel. All of his B-roll, all of his music is entirely of his own creation. He does lots of really cool, like, informational stuff, talking about the science of meteorology, as well as how to storm chase safely, and it's just fucking fantastic. I really, really like Pecos Hank. He's a fantastic guy, and all of his, like, weather-focused stuff is just incredible. I love what he does. And the other one is Alfiria. Alfiria is a more, more informational and historical channel. Alfiria talks a lot about various different, like, historical weather things, from, like, major flash freezes and blizzards to hurricanes. And especially, he talks a lot about, you know, well-known tornado disasters. Alferia's channel also does a lot of interviews, like even did an interview with Reed Timmer, who a lot of people know as being part of Team Dominator, the team who kind of created their own sort of, like armored tornado-proof vehicle that they basically use to drive into the center of a tornado to get weather information. That's Team Dominator, and Reed Timmer is a part of that. Also, Alferia, during multiple of different other videos, has actually interviewed people directly affected by these disasters. Like in the 2011 Joplin video, they actually talked to like a very close friend who was physically part of it. He talked about going to sleep on the couch and watching American Dad and waking up underneath rubble, and suddenly being asked if he was alive. Like Alferia does a Alferia and Picos Hank both do a great job of giving a lot of respect to people affected by these things. Hank, when he is actually storm chasing, does try to help people when they need it. Alferia does a lot of good for lending credence to the stories of people. He doesn't go out of his way to make these things sound like a horrible thing or some type of like horror content thing. It's just focus on it for what it is. It's a thing that is it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, and Alferia does a great job at focusing on that and giving a lot of reverence and respect to victims and treating this kind of thing with the gravity it deserves. Those storm chasing groups, I heard about them so much. The 2013 Moore tornado is actually a huge hyperfixation of mine because it's so not 2013 Moore, 2013 El Reno. It's still insane to me that the first time we ever lost a storm chasing team, like storm chasers like actually died, was in 2013 El Reno, and it was Twist X. So it was like you didn't just lose storm chasers, you lost like the storm chasers. What happened to Twist X is heartbreaking, and may their souls rest in peace. And storm chasing as a profession and meteorology as a science is forever changed by what they did. So yeah, these two channels are fantastic, and I can't recommend them enough. And I hope you both, I hope all of you look at all four of these. They're fantastic for that. So, in case it wasn't clear enough, weather is a big hyperfixation for me. Extreme weather is a big hyperfixation for me. And extreme weather was basically what finally pulled me out of a true crime fixation. Extreme weather was what pulled me out of fixating on true crime and got me to fixate on a thing that was not only more informative and less disrespectful to victims of a tragedy, but also didn't perpetuate harmful stereotypes and pseudosciences that tend to primarily target marginalized people. We have an ad break happening in 10 seconds, by the way, so why don't you guys go look at those channels I showed you while you wait for the ads to finish. See you in 3 minutes. See, that's my favorite thing that I can do, is when I'm on stream and I don't just get to talk, I get to like talk about a thing that I think is, one, interesting, and two, can really help people. Some early weather equipment was originally Cold War era warning systems that were hand-me-downs. Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, a lot of like weather sirens that are still used by a lot of counties got their, you know, fix as like, you know, well, granted, tornadoes have always been around, so a lot of, like, Cold War era stuff was, like, always designed to, like, you know, run, like, double duty. So, obviously, yes, the Federal Signal 1000T Thunderbolt, yes, I am that hyper-fixated on weather sirens that I know a lot of them by name. Big ups to a lot of Federal Signal stuff. I love it. If anybody in chat is wondering what's like the 1000T Thunderbolt, I'm gonna say this: if you've like looked at a video of a tornado siren, or you've looked at any video that happened to have a weather or nuclear siren in it, generally speaking, if people were making, like, if people were just doing any kind of like VFX thing or something and they just needed a weather siren, 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you it was probably a Federal Signal 1000T Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt is an absolutely, like, legendary piece of tech, to the nth degree. Like, it is crazy how, like, iconic it is to this day. I mean, there are, like, some other, like, sirens that come close. So here's the thing about that, Wisp. I was actually really, like, right about to bring that up myself, actually, because this is kind of, like, a major pet peeve of mine. That viral video of supposedly broken Chicago tornado sirens, those are not broken. That is a high-low configuration. That is a siren configuration they are built to do. A lot of people are just used to, like, the attack, configuration for sirens. So, like, they're used to, like, the one big, long note, and then it goes back down again, and then it goes back up for a really long, sustained note. The high-low configuration is its own configuration. I forget the exact, like, you hear them on ambulances and everything, too. Like, all sirens are built with these, but, like, generally speaking, like, that's, like, my big pet peeve, is that they're not, like, those sirens aren't broken. They are designed to do that. To anyone not hyperfixated or working, it would well, yeah, because, like, if you're used to, like, the typical kind of, like, attack / like, warning configuration for the sirens, yeah, like, it would sound broken. But the high-low is a configuration that it comes with and is designed to do. And it's interesting. It sounds like it allows you to keep ringing out without having to wind down. I think there is a very specific, like, you know, like purpose to it doing that, but I do know it's also that because these different configurations have their own different purposes, if memory serves. They are designed to be utilized in different scenarios. I just can't remember exactly what they are. Okay, so where does I remember where Scar is gonna tell me where to go. He's gonna tell me to go all the way. Where are you gonna? Scar is gonna tell me to go right here. So when we get our mission for Scar, he's gonna tell us to go right here, which is a decent amount of time away. The closest we could probably get ourselves to is don't know about this one, Chief. Know about this one. I don't know. I like how it still tells me I can, like, sleep in Circa, because you can't go back to Circa. The exterior checkpoint is blocked. You cannot go back to it. So, an EXO would not be a good idea because it would make it impossible to get all the way there. I'd take too long. So this outfit is probably better to wear for now, just because the EXO literally doesn't allow me to go that, doesn't allow me to sprint. I am going to be using the Dnipro because a lot of the enemies we're going to be encountering are also going to be using them. It's a lot of, like, gearing up for various, like, encounters in Stalker is just based around, you know, like, being economic with what you need to do, you know? It's about gearing up with exactly what you need. In fact, you know what? I should probably have more armor-piercing ammo than not, because I'm going to be facing mostly armored enemies. So better if I just gear myself up for extra. And some expansive rounds in case I really run into some ornery motherfuckers, we'll see. Pour the hell out of AP ammo. I really need to do that more often, don't I? I really do. So in this instance, then... Alright, yeah, that's good enough. Let's sleep until the morning. Let's see how much time we need. I can probably cram this mission out before we close out for the night. No, you know what? No, it's about 11:30. I did spend a lot of this stream not doing the thing I said I was gonna do. I'm a chronic hoarder in any game that allows it. Yeah, me too. I love keeping as many guns as I can. Anytime I find guns, I like keeping them and seeing how many of them I have on me. Oh, it's still nighttime. Yeah, I got a 9 to 2 tomorrow, so I'm gonna be getting up around, like, 8 o'clock at latest. Would it be a stream if you didn't get sidetracked by a trillion things? Not one bit. I would sooner assume that it was a pre-recorded stream. I would sooner assume that it simply didn't happen. Really happy I got to gush about a hyperfixation and put y'all onto some entertaining channels, though. Number one rule of any apocalypse, carry everything. Is it going to be carry anything and everything? I mean, it's a good thing Stalker isn't an apocalypse. That makes things a lot easier for me. Thou shalt get sidetracked by any bullshit. Yeah, quite literally. Alright, eat, Skiff, let's go. Alright, so, we got the Dnipro. A Ukrainian-made bullpup assault rifle chambered in 5.45, and we've got an APS Stechkin, chambered in 9x18. Alright, let's go talk to fucking, what's-his-face and see what he's got for us, yeah? I do love how most of the world is just occurring while the Chernobyl exclusion zones are... Yeah, exactly. It's part of the appeal of Stalker to me, actually. If it was just, like, the whole world was like this, I genuinely don't really believe it would be as compelling to me. The fact that Chernobyl is entirely localized... Well, it's not really an apocalypse, I wouldn't argue. Like, because to call it an apocalypse doesn't really feel accurate. Because an apocalypse does... The nomenclature does imply that it would be global. And on top of that, the Chernobyl exclusion zone was already, like, empty anyway because of the original 1986 Chernobyl incident. There is still order, and people are still here. It's a disaster. It's a cataclysm, but it is not an apocalypse. I do believe that, there can be such thing as, like, because if you make an apocalypse localized, it is no longer an apocalypse. It's just like a disaster. So it is a disaster zone. But I believe that if Stalker is like, you know, like sort of like weird, fucked up, anomalous zone was global and not entirely localized, I don't believe it would have been as compelling to me. I like a lot the fact that, like, the entire world is still going on during all of this, and not for nothing, but it's actually a thing that I liked about... That's a fucking thing. Part of it is, like, kind of reminding me of, like, the whole thing about that one scene in 28 Days Later, when not Don, what's the guy in the original 28 Days Later? What's his name? When he looks up and he sees a plane flying overhead and realizes that, like, it's only the UK, like, everywhere else in the world is fine. That's way too many bloodsuckers. When he realizes that everything in the world is fine, and it's only Britain that's cooked. It's like that in Stalker. There's a big part of what makes it so cool to me is that sort of, like, slowly creeping in realization of, oh, wait a minute, like, there's nobody coming to help us. Like, the entire world is fine. They just don't care. Like, the only types of people who come here are extreme tourists, like, military fuckheads, and weird, like, scientific researchers who have no interest in, like, taking on another human life. The only types of people who come here are that. There is no rescue. There is never going to be, like, any type of, like, wide-scale, like, military, you know, like, takeover, or, like, you know, control effort, because there was one. There was that one time in Stalker where, like, the Ukrainian security service did try to empty out the zone. It was called Operation Fairway, and it failed completely. Will you just die, my man? You are ridiculous. Hold up. There's been a couple of attempts, yeah, because if I remember correctly, the cage you find here in Stalker 2 is actually the result of one of those attempts. The original, like, right after the 2012 disaster happened. Right after the 2012 disaster happened, the first military effort in an attempt to kind of, like, go in and clear it out, which subsequently resulted in the founding of Duty, and also all of the bodies from that disaster are... Excuse me, motherfucker, I'm talking. All of the bodies from that little incident are findable at the cage anomaly here in Stalker 2. Like, it's just so interesting to me. Alright, I'll load my save. It's cool. And so it's like, yeah, like the military did attempt to do that, and it failed. So half of the fun for Stalker is the fact that the entire rest of the world is fine. You know, trade routes are established with what you find here. You know, people are coming and going as they please. People in 90% of the world are going to sleep and waking up in the morning like everything's fine. Is this seriously the last place I quick saved? Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, so we're calling it here, because the last place I quick saved in was up here. Oh boy, this was like right before I came back from BRB. Uh-oh. Even the rest of Ukraine? Yeah, the rest of Ukraine is fine. Like, some Stalker mods, like Stalker Misery, attempt to kind of, like, have it be like, oh, there's, like, economic collapse happening in the rest of the world. But as far as I can tell, canonically in Stalker, the rest of the world is fine. In fact, the rest of the world is capitalizing off research in the zone and using it for things like, you know, like civilian, living improvements and scientific advancements that normal people experience. So, like, not only is nobody coming to save you, not only is nobody coming to save you in the zone because the rest of the world is fine and they don't need to rescue you, because you're just one of, like, it's weird because, like, you're not one person in the zone. It's like, oh, we gotta rescue this one person. There's enough people in the zone that one person dying, like, more people dying doesn't mean shit. But there's not enough people in the zone for it to be a safe place. A safe, civilized place. What is it? Like, so if you die, that's, like, nobody gives a shit. But on top of that, not only is nobody coming to save you, but, like, on top of that, like, your nightmare is actually fueling modern science. It is in the interest of modern science that nobody saves you, which makes it somewhat bleak. And I think that kind of really helps that atmosphere that sets Stalker 2 apart from your average, like, Fallout or other post-apocalyptic game. It's not like, oh, the whole world is fucked and we're the last ones. It's, no, everybody's pretty good, dude. Everybody's doing fine. Everybody's doing fine. You came here of your own accord. You chose to come here. And you are now reaping the rewards of what you have sown. You came here because you wanted to get rich, and you're either gonna get rich or you're gonna die. Like, that's it. Like, that's it, dude. Like, there's no, you know, like, fate deciding conflict here. There's no, like, deciding the future of mankind. There's no, you know, like, what we do here is going to impact the generations after us and see if we can't rebuild from the end of civilization. No, you came here because you wanted to fucking make fat stacks, and now you're gonna bleed out in the middle of a field somewhere, and your story will be told and remembered by absolutely zero of the billions of people still living comfortably at home. There's a bleakness to it, but it's compelling. Also, let me catch up on some of these. There's a handful of other exclusion zones, one in, you're thinking of the one in Afghanistan, and I believe that is in Stalker Southern Comfort, which is actually, I have both of those Stalker novels. I have them as PDFs, and I've actually distributed them in my server. I think they're still in my server, actually, which is funny. At this point, aren't the people who live in the zone yeah, exactly, like, nobody who, like, grew up, like, because obviously, I've talked about it before, but Slavic peakness and the bleakness, we get that trending sometime. Like, obviously, I've talked about it a lot, but a big part of, like, Slavic culture is that you can't just, like, uproot yourself from your family. Entire generations live and die in the same farmhouse. Like, Slavic culture is very heavily tied to the family and the home. So, like, obviously, at this point, it's 2012. Anybody who was still living in the zone after the original 1986 disaster was killed in the 2006 disaster. And by 2012, you can expect absolutely nobody, like none of the original, like, people who were living there by heritage to still be there. If you're in the Chernobyl zone, you're here because you came here after the zone came to be. There is no reasonable doubt. No, everybody who is here to profiteer. It is that simple. Everybody who is still here is a vulture. And nothing less. That's just how it is. Some of there is a last resort. Yeah, some people are there because, like, you know, they got up to some bad criminal shit in the mainland and they had to go hide somewhere. You know, some people are there because their family needed money and they had to go there by any means and get that money. Some people are just here for a paper chase. Some are there because they can't get out. Yeah, it is very funny. There are people in Stalker who everyone is here to profiteer. Yeah. You know what? Can we just fucking I'm gonna put that over the entrance of the 100 Rads server. Amanda likes to push it as the home of phobia. I really like it as everyone here is here to profiteer. I like that. We're all here to profiteer. But yeah, there are people who get there and don't know how to get out. I mean, it's pretty hard to not get out, but like if you just like have made an enemy of everybody, no one's gonna want to help you get out. The home of phobia. Yeah. Which is very funny, because, I mean... Well, okay, I have had my diatribes about cis gay dudes before. God, I just want to say real quick, alright? Because I know I've been stalling on calling it here, but... The way you can see that radar dish from the burnt forest from all the way out here, and then over there, you've got Chernobyl, you know, the CNPP, still with its really old, fucked up sarcophagus that they built in like a couple of weeks. And then, I think down to this direction is Duga. So there's the CNPP, and right before, there's also Rostock right there. And beyond it is the Iron Forest anomaly, which leads right to the CNPP. And then after it should be the generator somewhere. And then in this direction should be Zatan. I wonder if I can see Circa from all the way up here. That appears to be the sphere. Is that the sphere? Is that the sphere? That is the sphere. I am looking directly at the sphere. My love for the exclusion zone came from... No, absolutely. COD 4 was the first time I played a video game that had the Chernobyl zone in it. And I'm actually still genuine about this. COD 4's depiction of like, you know, of Chernobyl is still actually personally my favorite. Stalker is my favorite game about it, and Stalker is also my favorite game, period. But Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, its all gillied up mission is my personal favorite depiction of Pripyat and the Chernobyl zone, because of, one, its color grading. Its color grading, even in a game that tends to be pretty muted because it was taking a lot of its inspiration from, like, Black Hawk Down and 24. The Chernobyl levels have their own mixture of incredibly vibrant drabness, where you've got these, like, really bright greens and blues, but, like, it's all still extremely drab and earthy. I actually really like the sneak past the tanks. I love that segment. It had my fucking blood running cold the first time I played it. Like, that mission it has fantastic music, fantastic color grading, and art style. A lot of people don't realize that a game that goes for realism can still have an art style. Call of Duty had an art style primarily put through its the descriptions of like the overall designs of some of its enemies, the way they chose to go about the milsim fashion and look of its characters, but most importantly, its color palette. Like, COD 4 had a really, really good understanding of how to use a drab 7th gen color palette to its absolute benefit. And it looked fantastic for that. And the Chernobyl section, I think, did that the best. It combined with the music. Well, COD was never a milsim. COD was very always like, if you came from a milsim crowd, but you wanted to play something that the Quake heads could still enjoy, COD was an arena shooter that they, you know, gave like an action campaign to. COD's multiplayer was originally just an arena shooter. It was Quake, but you move slower, and you have loadouts, and it's got milsim aesthetics. But like the music, especially in that segment, was what sold it. The music in the original like COD 4 like all Gilead Up mission is absolutely spectacular. It is so well done. It communicates the vibe of loneliness, of emptiness, of complete desolation so perfectly. So perfectly. Like, oh my god. To the point where, like, the color grading in that, I actually use various different, like, atmospherics and reshade presets in Stalker Anomaly to recreate. Like, give me a second here. I have used these effects to recreate that, and I actually think I did it fairly well, because look at this. Where are you, my darling? Don't mind me stimming Lucky Star music as I do. But I actually go out of my way to, if I can find the goddamn screenshot. Here we go. There are sometimes I have done this and I end up just, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but there have been times where I've managed to use like the right reshade presets just right to make something that really felt like it fit. Like, look, all right, at this point, all I'm really doing is trying my best to go back to the old days. COD 4 has a lot of color coordination. I swear all the levels have a dominant color. No, yeah, no, like, COD 4 was a work of love by a studio that really liked 24 and Black Hawk Down, and to a lesser extent, maybe even, like, what is it? It was called, like, State Marshals or something. Really good stuff. But, like, hell, even in some of the missions, like in some of the missions you do with the SAS, there feels like there's a little bit of behind enemy lines in that. I don't really know if behind enemy lines is like... I think I remember at one point somebody denounced it as propaganda, but I think that person was a Serb. So take that to mean... Yeah, like, to my knowledge, I think the last Call of Duty to be made before the DoD started funding them was World at War, and it absolutely shows. Because World at War had a fantastic art style. It went out of its way to show that World War II wasn't the last great war, or, you know, the rising of the greatest generation. World War II was a mass tragedy that enveloped every single nation on Earth that didn't need to happen, and billions of people, like millions of people died for fucking nothing. World at War illustrates that World War II was a completely unnecessary mass tragedy that must never happen again. Like, you don't fuck around when most people who make World War II shooters go out of their way for there to be big triumphant music, and everything is all about the, you know, like fucking, you know, like US Marines stopping the Nazis, hoorah, yada yada yada, and everything, you know, and then World at War opens with the sound of like a singer, like singing the phrase, like, "Sweet soldier, die with me." Yeah, the DoD's been funding COD since like 2009, I think. I think Modern Warfare 2 is when it started, because they have like a whole initiative of like I think it's like it's abbreviated to CODE. It's like Call of Duty Endowment Fund or something. Yeah, no, the DoD has been funding COD since like 2009. They fund a lot of entertainment. You want to know a good example of it is Michael Bay's first Transformers movie. It is so clear. It is so obvious. World War II is World at War was peak World War II. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a game like Call of Duty Call of Duty certainly hasn't made a good World War II game since. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like COD 2 and COD 3 weren't great games, but like, let's be honest, dog. Even those aren't topping World at War. And, like, for fuck's sake, dude. COD World War II and Vanguard? Nuh-uh, not topping World at War. This gives me the realization U.S. taxpayer money has gone into putting Nicki Minaj into Call of Duty. Yeah. Yeah. Make of that what you fucking will. Met a second ranger who is at Point Du Hoc. He talked about turning down a Purple Heart because he was only shot, and there were people who were left so worse on the beach. Pretty sure the DoD funded the Monster Hunter movie. You know, I actually kind of forgot the Monster Hunter movie happened. Can I go back to that, please? But yeah, no, Call of Duty's been funded by the DoD for, like, over a decade now. And the last one that wasn't funded by them was World at War. I mean, looking back now, playing, like, Modern Warfare 2, it's very obvious. I mean, for fuck's sake, Russia invades America, and there's a whole set piece of you standing on the top of the White House, waving the flares for, like, you know, the air support or whatever. Like, it's really, really flagrant. It's really, really flagrant. But, like, I mean, I still like Modern Warfare 2 2009's multiplayer. It's great. But it is important to note that the series since at least 2009 is very likely to just have been propaganda. Which sucks, but it is what it is, you know. Which one? That was Advanced Warfare. That was Advanced Warfare. I actually really enjoyed Advanced Warfare's gameplay. Its story, not so much, even before Kevin Spacey got outed. Its story was very predictably written, to the point where I was basically predicting lines that Kevin Spacey's character was saying as he was saying them. It was very predictably written, but it was very fun to play. I was absolutely insufferable in the multiplayer because I used a pistol that was like single shot and instant reload afterwards, and I would just slide around and kill people. I don't think Advanced War... Like, I was around an active COD player when Advanced Warfare happened. I think Advanced Warfare was pretty good. I think the one that got the most hate was Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare got absolutely torn to shreds, especially because they packaged the COD 4 remaster with it, which was like, okay, you knew nobody was gonna buy your stupid fucking game, so you basically packaged, like, the only new COD game anybody wants to play. A lot of people also ripped on Black Ops 3, but it was really good. Like, Black Ops 3 actually felt extremely not propagandized. Black Ops 3 was, like, a really interesting kind of, like, cerebral, like, hard sci-fi story about, like, morality and how far attempts to, like, you know, like, what is the line of too far in research into cybernetics and melding human minds with AI? Like, Black Ops 3 had a fantastic storyline, and the people that didn't like it were just people who wanted more of, like, Black Ops 1 and 2. And those were good games, don't get me wrong, you know? But, like, it's just... I thought Black Ops 3 was a game that really wanted to do more with that. We talk about how shitty Black Ops 5 is. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I try to spend as little time as I can talking about games that I don't like. Because it's like... If I don't like a game, I don't play it, and therefore I don't really have a whole lot of, like, information to give on why I don't like it, you know? I'm just not gonna play it. So I'm not really gonna... I don't really have a whole lot to add on 5 or 4, because I didn't play either of them. I'm not really gonna. Heard 6 wasn't good either. Surprise, surprise. A lot of the early CODs from Ghost to Black Ops 3 got unearned hate and shit besides... Yeah, no, Ghosts was actually really fun. Ghosts was that really unfortunate kind of middle child, where it was a really well-done game and a winning formula, but it happened to come out right around the time people got sick of that winning formula. Because after Black Ops 2, people had just kind of had enough. Still mad they never did a sequel. Yeah, it was honestly really well done. I really liked it. I mean, obviously, like, using rods from God as your, like big cataclysm is an interesting idea. Okay, so that took me, like, 2 reads to parse Wisecorn, but I get it. Honestly, knowing what it's about, yeah, I mean, It's very funny, but Ghost is surprisingly like the most homoerotic game in the series. It's about like a dad and his 2 sons, and then it's about like the dad and his old buddies. Yeah, you did kind of flashbang me. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, dog. Ghost is like the Top Gun of the series. Ghost is up there with like Disaster Day of Crisis and Yowie Bait. Like Ghost is up there with Metal Gear, dude. I think like a lot of people like to credit Metal Gear. I think the old man Yowie market got a pretty big stimulus package when COD Ghost came out. I'm just keeping it real. I think that's a sign we need to call it here, if that's what I'm saying. Ghost X Soap in Modern Warfare 2. Okay, hear me out. Okay, so wait. Okay, so it took me a second. You're talking about 2022 Modern Warfare 2, like the new one. The new one, in which case I would say yes. Because I was about to say, like, Ghost and Soap didn't interact that much in the original. Like, no, you're not talking about the original. I put Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and COD Ghost in the same box. No sequel or finish shit, and also lots of old man yaoi. Didn't somebody make like an entire like fake audio log of Code Talker teaching Kazuhira Miller how to fuck a hamburger? Yeah, alright, we need to stop this. Soap can't catch a break. What has happened to my bar? Oh, you know why? Oh. Okay, that was weird. I've never seen the back half of the bar. I've never seen the back half of the bar fail to render. That's curious. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Bar broke. Bar broke. You know that, like, big fucked up, like gravity sphere? You know that big fucked up gravity sphere that, like, you know, sucks everything in the back of the bar, and it's very clear that Barkeep just throws all of his garbage into it? It has expanded and consumed the entire bar. There is nothing behind me. I have maybe, like, 2 minutes before I die. So, just so we're clear, COD Ghost's Old Man Yowie. That's our raid message. We're in agreement about this, right? Let me be clear. Participate. Get me a bar without shelves. Without shelves? And no wall. Without a wall? Barkeep, get me a bar with nothing. Nothing? Wisp said, what have I created? Yeah, you did this. You did this, you motherfucker. Gaze upon your creation in despair. So I know exactly who we need to send this to. We need to send this to my good homie Nightmare Nexus. Okay? Nightmare's a real one. He's a good homie. We've actually talked a lot about Stalker. I think as soon as I watched the Stalker Shadow of the Zone fan film, the first person I messaged about it was Nightmare Nexus, who I immediately proceeded to dive into his DMs and say, dude, Crow is so fucking hot, I want his dick. That's a great time for Dead Rising music to play. But me and Nightmare have talked a lot about Stalker. We're both big Stalker heads. I did an interview with him about Stalker, which unfortunately he still hasn't been able to put on YouTube yet because it keeps marking it as not ad friendly and not letting the video go through. So he's still trying to troubleshoot it, because at this point now it's going to have been a year. It's been over a year since it since it was supposed to go up. But I do look forward to it going up. And every time Nightmare shows up in my chat, it's a good time. Every time I get to hang with Nightmare and VC, it's going to be a good time. Need to have my homie on stream at some point. He's a real one. So if you're not aware of what his content is like, it looks a little something like this. So this is who we're going to be assaulting with Old Man Yowie. I don't think he's ready, but I will see to it that he is. Prepare yourself. Alright, so. That's our raid. That's our raid for tonight. So, I want to say thank you all so much for coming on down. It has been an absolute blast being to sit here and yap and chill with all of y'all. It's been nice. And once again, I would like to give another heads up of the fun little event we're going to be running for this month. If you like writing, want to get into writing, or want to get back into writing, I present the Pripyat City Hate Crew Writing Jam. Join our Discord server, check out the announcement about it, and then try giving some writing a shot. You might be surprised at what you make and what people think of it. Not going to be judged, not going to be live streamed or nothing. It is going to be a dump your work and then that's it kind of thing, just to get people creating. So look forward to that. You can type in !Discord in the chat to get a link to our Discord channel, our Discord server, and hop on in and see what you want to do. We also do a ton of other fun stuff I'll tell you about later. What else is going on? This Sunday, me and Colonel Tiana are going to be playing The Suffering. On Thursday, me and the rest of Striga Company, it's going to be me, Soroka, Kelly, Ari, and a good couple of other people are all going to be playing some Ground Branch and running some sorties. So look forward to some fun fucking operator girls getting up to it. I'm excited for that. And then, you know, next Tuesday is more Stalker. So that's about it. Look forward to it. I'm going to bring us on down to the end screen. It has been wonderful getting to talk about hyperfixations with all of you. And I look forward to doing it again. It's always great seeing all y'all in chat. So I'm gonna bring y'all on down, and we're gonna raid Nightmare, and we're gonna see how this goes. See you in the end screen, friends. Great. I forgot to change the message, the channel's volume. That's okay. So let me see here. We're gonna raid my man Nightmare Nexus. His pronouns are he, him. Respect the rules, respect the pronouns. Don't be weird. Don't be a dick. If you fuck up in there, you're not coming back in here. We're all about that accountability bands here. You got your raid message? Please use whichever emotes you damn well please if you don't have access to these ones. Like I said, if you want more Stalker, come back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come back this Thursday Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. for Ground Branch with me and the rest of our, nice little in-server, in-community tactical shooter team, Striga Company. Come back on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see me and Colonel Tiana play a fantastic little midway horror game called The Suffering. Follow me on Blue Sky to see what I'm working on. Join our Discord server if you want to take part in the writing jam or hang out with us. We do movie nights, listening parties, game nights, you fucking name it. Other than that, if you want to support us as a channel, as a team, as a crew, you can go to my Ko-Fi and tip. We've got a throne for gifts, and of course there is a there's a merch site as well if you want to rep the PCHC IRL. I'll see you in Nightmare